Right after that, Lucy's like freaking the fuck out because he's like, no, where are you taking him?
Right?
And like chases him into the sea. I'm like, Lucy, you're such a good
She
girl.
jumped into like that crack in the underworld and just, I was like, oh, stop. I was like, if the ghost dog goes, I'm out. I'm out. I would have never guessed it. Like, we meet her in The Serpent and the Wings of Night. She's this quirky best friend to Rain. Right? She's just bubbly and she takes Araya in, you know, and it's this thing where you're like, oh, haha, Misha. And then you learn there's so much more to how she became the way that she is. And that just like knocks the wind out of you almost.
Yeah,
Fear Septimus is going to become my favorite couple, though. I fear. Fear he's going to win me over.
Do we fear it? Do we fear it? Or are we excited about it?
I need it.
I do too, but I also spent a large part of the first book thinking Septimus was like a troll under a bridge with like a monocle and like gray hair, and then I saw that character
Like
art and Carissa was like, no, he's a daddy. And I'm like,
He's actually really hot. Yeah, and we're like, what? Welcome, Night Owls, to the Book Club After Dark podcast, an inviting moonlit podcast. I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm Michelle. We break down fantasy, romantasy, and thriller novels.
All things enchanting, intriguing, suspenseful, and maybe a little spicy.
Each episode features intimate discussions on captivating stories, character breakdowns, fan theories, and more. And this is your content warning. This podcast contains mature themes and discussions that may not be suitable for all audiences. Episodes include explicit language and descriptions of mature romance, as well as depictions of violence and other intense subject matter. This podcast is rated R for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Moving forward from here, there'll be lots of spoilers for Crowns of Nyaxia series, of course, and obviously for the book we're covering now, which is The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk by Carissa Broadbent. Consider this your spoiler warning.
Let's get cozy because the best stories are told after dark.
Okay, tonight's drink of the episode is called The Heirs, and that's not A-I-R-S, but H-E-I-R-S, The Heirs. So we have some characters here that are going to be getting air marks as we go through, because remember, we have spoilers for the whole book. So The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk, we know that Asar and Misha are both going to have air marks, and I wanted to do a drink that kind of embodied this. So we have like a spooky glass here, and there's like a, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a caramel rim to this.
Ooh.
I wanted to do something that took a little while to make because I felt like their journey took a long time before this happened for them. So what we have is a couple of days blended, I guess, whiskey and caramel. So I took Brothers Bond whiskey, which they sent to us. So thank you so much, Brothers Bond. And I put it with some caramel and I put that in a fridge for a couple of days to let that kind of melt in together. And then I also took the apple cider, the fresh apple cider I have. I had a ice tray of skulls and I poured that into these skull shape ice. And so I made two of those for this drink, and then champagne. So I took the infused whiskey that's infused with the caramel, 2 ounces of that, the champagne or sparkling wine, and literally just dropped in the skull apple ciders into the drink and let it, you just let that kind of melt. And that's our air drink. What I like about it is two things. The glass I used is dark, kind of for Asar. And then the drink itself is kind of golden, which is for our girl Misha. So I thought all of those things collectively together kind of represented both of them. Yeah. So that's our drink of the episode. So let's give it a try. That's really good. It's still a little bit whiskey forward, but that champagne kind of balances it and it's got that sparkle to it. And then you taste the apple cider on the back end, and it's really good.
I love how you use the skulls. So it's like, because she's going to be the queen of the dead, right? So, the souls represents that. And champagne's like a celebration drink for, them kind of coming back from immortality to mortality and assuming their rightful roles in the next, their next journey after the series concludes or this duology concludes. So I like all the little elements and representations you have for that drink.
Yeah, it's got a lot going on. No shaking though, like very simple to make. It's literally just layered. Yeah, but you're right. I totally spot on. I want to apologize. I'm a little bit nasally tonight. So if you can tell, if you're listening in, I'm recovering from a cold. But you know what? A book club after dark, we're going to power through. There's nothing that a whiskey champagne drink can't fix, right? So let's immerse ourselves back into Obitrace. Tonight, we're exploring The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk. We're recapping. We're going through our next parts of this book. So this is our second episode covering The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk by Carissa Broadbent. We also have a special guest with us tonight, another interview guest who is another Instagrammer you might be familiar with, and her handle is TheLostBooksOfJess. You may have heard of her before. If you follow her, awesome. You're going to get to hear her voice again on the show. If not, I think you're going to really enjoy our conversations with her. She was lots of fun.
So fun.
Known for her joyous and positive book talk. We just had a really fun time. So I'm excited for you guys to listen to that at the end of our recap of the second portion of The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk, which also means that we are going to have a third episode of The Fallen of the Kiss of Dusk that's going to close out our deep dive of this book. So whether you're here reading along with us or you're just here for the book talk, we are always glad that you're here.
Let's start with part 3. So this is titled The Eye, or N-I, and this is where Misha and Asar go to find the Eye of Alaris. We start with an interlude here, and the interludes are giving us Asar's background. So this is Asar when he is now in the House of Shadow, being honed in as a weapon. His downfall happened, essentially, when he found Ophelia's body at the hands of his brother Malik, and he attempted to resurrect her and failed. So this is where he is the fallen one, essentially. Asar is cast into exile because of this attempt of failed necromancy. We already know what happened with Ophelia at that point in time when we saw in Songbird. We see the horrors that she went through with this necromancy. And after months, he realized how deeply Morthrin itself was hurting. And this is where we see him also assume his role as the warden, and how Morthrin's really a misunderstood prison. It's supposed to be a temple, and he saw all the cracks in it and began the healing process of Morthrin into what it should be.
Yeah, and it's tough to read, honestly, because I feel like he's like one of the few characters who saw Morthrin as sentient versus just like a building. You know, he understands that there's a whole lot more to what it does than just being a structure. So you start to kind of understand that through Asar's eyes and the love that he has for it, which is super relevant later on, as we know, with Misha and their continued love of Morthrin and how kind of becomes their home. And I loved reading that this happened and that this is kind of where they end up, because this is such a beautiful arc of how this goes throughout the story, because you don't want to forget about Morthrin. Morthrin's super relevant. We loved it in Songbird, and we see it so much come back into play here, mostly towards the end of the book. But the reference to it kind of points us that there's a feeling of home there, really, for Asar and Misha both. Mm-hmm. And Misha's kind of a lost soul herself, where she hasn't had a good home in so many years, except for her home with Asar
really, ever.
in that journey.
Because her home from her childhood wasn't much of a home anyways, so she's always been a wanderer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chapter 31, Lucy, good girl, wakes up Misha, and she's slumped against the couch with Asar in this lighthouse on the small island off the House of Blood. And then we remember that Asar had put on this mask, and he gets the mask out of the pack, and it's like his backpack thing, and it's decorated with bronze and the ancient glyphs, and it's the Alaris's basically his crown for the House of Death. And Asar helps Misha out of this velvet dress that she was wearing when she was there, and at the party, you remember, his sister had. So we're coming from all of that at the end of chapter 31, because they are there, and she is feeling like shit because she had to compel Rain, because Rain wasn't gonna like let her go, and she's just having all this guilt about it. And he had said to her, for whatever your mistakes, Misha Ilie, he said quietly but firmly, for whatever your faults or for whatever unintended pains you may bring in this world, I will love you anyway. And so that comes from Asar, and they climb into bed, and there's only a sheet that lays between them. And remember, this is important that there's a sheet, because Misha can't actually touch Asar with her hands, because she, as a wraith, actually can suck power from him, and it's painful for him. So this is kind of your first spicy-ish chapter, I would say. But you kind of expect it at this point. They're reunited. They finally have a moment of peace. And there's also this moment where they can't touch. So it's like, how are we going to overcome this? Like, how is she going to be like mortal again? Like what the heck is going to happen here with her and her situation? So it's definitely one of the weirder, spicier chapters I've ever read, for sure.
And I'd like to note that this book, the spice is very different even from their first book in this duology or any of the other spicy scenes that have been written by Carissa. Just because there's not a carnal need for it. It's more of like a tying of the knot, like tying the story in a little bow, making it so that they can finally come together. So throughout, like, their spicy scenes are not very in depth, and they're pretty brief in terms of like the writing style. I'm not saying, I'm sure they enjoyed their time together, but it's very different. For sure. Than what's been written.
I think it's really different than the super open door scenes we've read from Carissa before. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that there's so much story going on. There's so many intricate layers to what's happening that it just didn't make sense to have a huge on-scene, multiple page situation, which we do get one.
Yeah, but it's still
we
like
do get kind of one later, but it's still like
it's not like a full chapter. Like, okay, so remember back in Ashes, the Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, there was 2 chapters, like full-fledged back-to-back of Rain and Aurea. So this is different in terms of like their story.
People.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because to their story, that carnal need wasn't a huge factor. It was the intimacy that they desired in being open with each other and being able to be their true selves. That's really what they were striving for this entire time, not this just need to satiate their lust, because they'll probably be doing that for a very long time. But for this story and the purposes, it wasn't necessary for them. So I think it's true to them, honestly, that they didn't need that. So there was no temple worshiping for this one, but that's okay.
And so chapter 32, we kind of move on from that. And I think that's a great point, Michelle, that you make, is that Carissa does this very well. We talked about that with Carly when she was on, that she really differentiates her spicy time based on the characters that are having spicy time. And it's important that she does that because it shows that she is such an excellent writer, and she doesn't need to repeat things that she's already done. She can tell a new story with new characters, and it doesn't need to be, rinse and repeat of the same type of spice. If that's for you and you love that, Carissa Broadbent's not going to be your author, because I love the fact that you don't really know what you're going to get. You know that the characters she builds and the world she builds are very intentional, and that you have characters coming in. For example, now floating into chapter 32, Asar can't sleep. Okay, fine. But he watches Misha, who looks better, and Septimus's cousin, Atreus, comes in. And so this, of course, lines up with our boy Atreus. He notices, as Asar observes that he has horns on his head, fucking Nyaxia, and that, Atreus is God-touched because Asar can see through his memories, and that he is a general who was visited by Nyaxia and Asasia. So he sees like everything that happens. And if you didn't read Slaying the Vampire Conqueror at this point, I feel like you would feel not the full picture here. This is the first time that we see the opportunity that if you had read all the novels and novellas leading up to this point, that standalone, even though you could read it by itself, it was actually really key to Fallen, and it starts to line up here where you have some backstory on him. So Atreus takes them to this other boat to the House of Blood. And it's like a really harsh climate. Now they're going to make this journey to the Deadlands, and Atreus and Selena are going to be their guide to go to the Deadlands. And the way I had a very specific image of the Deadlands, that was not at all what the Deadlands were, but we'll get to that. Atreus leads them to this pub with human vendors, entertainers, and they meet Selena. And because Misha was part of her own cult, and she kind of knows based on this of her worship of Atraxas, like what a kind of cult-ish that exists in the world, in the human worlds as well, of Crescent. She knows what this is. And so Misha recognizes Selena's human accent and that she's from Galea, and she now rules as Atreus' equal. So they're like, what are you doing here? Don't you guys like have a lot to do? Like, why are you guys, what's going on? So they have this kind of interaction of like trying to understand, like, don't you guys have a lot of work? Like, why are you guys coming to do this specific thing? And they kind of explain that there really isn't somebody better, and like this is also extremely important, that you're brought to the Deadlands by like the right people, and that basically Septimus is giving this as a big kind of honor, and also like he needed to send someone with them that could be trusted.
Right, but also
Yeah.
benefits
It also
Septimus.
benefits Septimus.
Yeah, for
Of
sure.
course.
Because
Yeah.
Atreus has
No way.
done this journey before, so of course he knows the Deadlands. But yeah, Septimus, it's not innocent. He is getting something in
Oh, no.
return. So yeah. And then for chapter 33 and chapter 34, it's basically goes into detail on how Atreus guides them to the Deadlands. They have to use horses, so they travel horseback.
Ugh.
The bloodborne horses are beautiful, and they're not skittish because of how they're actually treated in terms of how horses are treated in other houses. So Misha loves the horses, and she actually names her horse Seisha, which is after her sister. So we see Seisha return. We saw her in the underworld before. Now she recurs here. And then they travel through the House of Blood, through the coast. Then they go to something called the Maze of Arches. And this is where essentially Nyaxia, after Alaris was brutally murdered, Nyaxia tears through the Deadlands into the mortal realm. And this is where we kind of see this path. And the path is to the Keeper. And the Keeper is essentially the safeguard to the passage that is the Deadlands itself. He is a lesser god, but they have to challenge him in battle and then gain passage that way. Then they'll go to the execution site, which is where Alaris is. He's the height of 3 men with the body of a tiger, torso of a man, head of a bull, and one horn is missing from him. So
yeah, it's a very odd description.
Yes. So as they navigate the Maze of Arches, it's really confusing. Like literally think of like a maze. I was thinking of like Harry Potter mazes where like staircases go nowhere and all that stuff. There's glyphs everywhere. So, you can kind of tell that this is like God touched in a way. And then they come to the bridge. They essentially have to move through an arch. They come to a bridge, and at the end of the bridge is a door. Before the door is the Keeper. Keeper is dead. Blood is everywhere.
He's dead.
They kind of like slip on some blood, and they're like, what is that? And then he's just like slumped over, sword to the side, all that stuff. And a god must have killed him, is what they're assuming at this point in time, because they need the Keeper to open the gate. And they decide, well, guess we're gonna bring him back using necromancy, because guess what? We have 2 necromancers here, and that's the only way we can get through. So
yeah, and so they do what they've always done, which we saw in Songbird, and they take body, breath, psyche, and secrets and soul, right? And they worry that the Keeper will be enraged when they raise him. So Misha has to conduct this ritual. Yeah, and so he is pissed when he wakes up. He like did not want to be waken up. He wants to be back dead, which asks a lot of questions. Why does this guy want to be dead, and who killed him? A lot of questions here. The Keeper is pissed, and there's pain and grief that Misha feels, and the gods had killed all the guardians as well as demigods like Misha and Asar, and the gods had sworn to him that they wouldn't mass murder again, but they've lied. So again, there's this talk about the white pantheon, which should really be like a black pantheon, because white
suck.
Not no,
they're
not
white's
good.
supposed to be innocent, and they are self-serving. Right. And they lie and they manipulate for their own benefit because they're fucking bored. That's honestly it. What happens is out of boredom and out of
literally they're bored.
Because they're like, well, I exist for eternity. I know beginning and the end. And let's just spice things up by like slaying people. Let's start a war for shits and giggles at this point in time. And it's like, no, that's not.
And on that note, this kind of reminds me of Zareth and Quicksilver, the god of, who's the god of chaos and change, right? And he just like sees the tree leaf fall, and he's just like, oh yeah, that's just like, millions and billions of lies. Huh.
That's
You
just
know, and it's like these
another leaf
gods,
in eternity. It's
another
fine.
leaf in all of the way that things go down, and it's kind of reminds me of that where they just have there's like it's apathy. They just
Yeah.
have no empathy left.
Mortal
They're just
life.
totally apathetic to
Yeah.
whatever happens to mortals, and they
Yeah.
don't have they're just like, this is the way, and that's it. So Misha tells him, like, I promise I'm going to stop the war. And the keeper's just like, oh, yeah, okay, well, I don't want to witness it. So I'm out. Like, please kill me, because as soon as I let you go, like, just don't ever bring me back again. Go through and they get into there. And the way the Deadlands reminded me of it kind of reminded me of like I Am Legend or any movie that's like dystopian where you have like these massive cities and buildings and everything, but they're all empty and deserted. And I kind of felt like that's what was being described because it sounded like there were the massive great cities that had fallen statues of the gods and that it just was there was nothing left. And the Deadlands I thought was just going to be like vast desert or something. I don't know. But it truly
Yeah.
is like a dead land, a dead city that is no longer inhabited. And
Right.
so they're walking kind of through all of this and they're on their horses and it's kind of glimpses into these ruins of great cities and the Deadlands were once this god's pleasure garden before they showed interest in their world. So they destroyed this world. They're just like, yeah,
Done
cool.
here.
I don't need any more. Just like dipped.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they just got bored. And so Misha starts to see wraiths. And there's a moment that happens later with a specific wraith, but right now she starts to see these wraiths and that there's threads that are coming up from the underworld now up into this area, this Deadlands area, and she's starting to see it, which is not good. So it means that there's parts of the underworld that are really starting to fray and come apart, and now she's starting to see them up where like the land of the living is for the most part. And this is not a good sign that this is happening. And then there's an execution site of where he was killed up the hill in the distance. And so that's where they're trying to get to get this eye. So that's where they're on their hunt for Alaris's eye and they're trying to get there. So yeah, at this point when I'm reading it, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like
there's
what
a
is
lot
even
of
happening?
journeying.
There's so much information.
Yeah.
And it starts to click later. But the first time I heard all of this, I was just like, okay, all right, where are we going? Like there was a lot. I wasn't confused so much as I was just like, I know it's going to tie together because I know Carissa, but I'm also just like, yeah, well, like when you read Crescent City, it reminded me of that too. Like Crescent City, you're like, what was the point of this chapter? And then it comes back later and you're like, oh, and it all starts to kind of click. That's kind of how this book felt too. And again, I'm a huge Crescent City fan, so I loved it. And I loved it here too. And thank God this book is a little bit shorter than any Crescent City book, but still, it was I felt like that in this book more than I ever had in any of her other books. So I felt like the first duology was nothing like the second duology that we're in now, which makes me really excited to see what the third duology is going to be like. Yeah, I feel like she came into her own a lot more in this book. But anyway, I was just curious, what did you think of where we're at this far? Because now we're starting to get chapter 37. We're starting to kind of really get rolling here. And like as a reader, I was just curious where you were at.
There's just a lot of traveling going on, and I was here for it. There's a lot of world building because she is taking us to a completely new area. So you kind of just have to recognize the tidbits of world building, as well as it was really important to understand the little conversations Misha and Selena were having, Asar was having internally, because it was giving little glimpses of how you should view the White Pantheon as their like worldviews are changing, and how little parts of Asar and his personal beliefs are going to really play a key part later when he's battling with his mortality, immortality, that sort of thing. So there was a lot of like little nuggets of information that you really need to like store in the back of your head, and a lot of world building. But I was here for it. I love Carissa Broadbent's world building, and she just continued it throughout this. So as they're going through the Deadlands, so chapter 37, 38 are kind of like the culmination of their travels through the Deadlands, and Misha and Selena are discussing the lies they were taught about worshiping their gods. And it's really important here because these are two people who are really devoted followers of their perspective god and goddess. So just them having that realization that we were fed lies there was benefits because we got like a sisterhood. We got our journey brought us to people that we needed, and it saved us from certain things, but it also impeded us in other ways. So really just having that realization as like an adult that you were lied to your entire life, because they both came into their prospective cults pretty around a lot of the same age. So because Selena was 10, Misha, she was chosen pretty early on. Yeah, 8. So, you know, it was, they were both young, around the same age. So and then they're going to
stand a chance.
No.
You know?
Like, no, they don't, especially when the adults around you are doing things, or like your older sister, or there's no adults around you and you just need to survive. So, and that kind of plays, I feel like Carissa's commentary on cults and religion is very true here, because, you know, she's placing this in a fantasy realm, but it's really like a lot of times kids are indoctrinated into things that they have no business really knowing and fully like being able to comprehend what's going on in situations. Like, let me just give up my eyesight at 10 years old because this is going to save me. It's like, that's a permanent thing, you know? So anyways, they're going through the execution site, there's just a lot of ruin. They can see splashes of liquid gold on the buildings, which is newer than the original wreckage. So you know that there has been some fighting here in liquid gold. That's like the god blood. So there's been fighting here recently as well. And it's important, the execution site resembles a coliseum, which is really that's just the White Panther's so fucked up. It's like, let's just we're going to murder you, but not really murder you, but like mostly murder you, because we can't actually murder you, but we're going to use your eye so we can murder you the best that we can, except like, you know, your few Horcruxes. And we're going to do it on a stage where people can watch, because we don't like that you married Nyaxia. It's like, so crazy, fucked up.
And you really start to empathize more with Nyaxia at this point,
right?
Because she's just a girl with a broken heart on a path for vengeance.
You see that more too, and Misha sees it. Misha sees that a lot more, because she's like, she must just be so lonely. Like, the one person she loved and loved her back is just like, that was brutal. Like, I don't blame her. I don't blame a girl for being on this murder rampage. And so chapter 38, they have one last stop before the execution site, which this was a hard stop for me. So while they rest, Asar wander the ruins, which were all empty except for wraiths, it's really important to know that this just means the underworld is collapsing to the point where wraiths are in like the land of the, like, where gods are. Like, they're just so far apart in terms of the layers of like the realms that it's wild that they're out there. And he's seeing Nyaxia's grief in vivid daydreams. Then, you know, a little wraith girl appears, hiding behind a pile of stones. And she had been following them for some time. And Misha came, and Asar spoke to the girl, and her name is Selly. And she had a difficult and short life, deserved a fair death 500 years ago. So she's been wandering for quite some time. And Misha guided her to the path down to the underworld so she may find peace. And at first, when I first read this part, I'm like, oh, that's sweet. And then when Selly comes back later, I'm like, fuck, Carissa, why did you have to rip us apart with that? Like, literally. The girl couldn't find peace. We're just not going to give anyone peace here. But, you know, that's true to the world. There's no peace in Obatrace or the Crowns of Nyaxia world at all. That's just not something that we get.
Do a good thing and a bad thing happens.
Basically.
Yeah.
So Misha asks if he agrees with Atreus that gods don't care about anything. And she questions if Alaris created more than pride for his work or love as a tribute to Nyaxia, which I feel like we see a lot with Alaris's voice, because Asar basically becomes Venom, which you see in the Venom movies, where Tom Hardy is invaded by like this alien, and he's like he's like talking and he's like normal, and then he has like this voice in the back of his head making commentary on anything. That's essentially what he becomes as he keeps collecting all these god things. So the mask talks to him, and then when he gets the eye also talks to him, and then they talk kind of not contradictory, but sometimes they like layer each other and like just have full-on conversations without him. So there's a lot gonna start going in his head, but essentially he's Venom at this point. Asar is Tom Hardy. And
got it.
So a quote from Asar is, Gideon used to tell me that life was only worth the value of the blood you spill upon it. I imagine that much like powerful vampires, powerful gods probably feel the same way, open to sacrifices. So again, we're getting this emphasis on like gods don't really care unless things are being made tribute in their honor here. So, and then this quote I feel like is where this next one is where Misha steps into her godhood, her own godhood, and she says maybe greatness should come not from the sacrifices you make but the ones you refuse to. And you'll see that as she goes through her own path when she enters her own godhood. Misha also lastly asks him to never sacrifice his mortality for the power he will have, which we see that kind of doesn't happen later on.
I mean, he does his best, but like he kind of can't either, because he's never going to choose himself over Misha. And that's like the recurring theme here is like he will sacrifice everything, including himself, for her, and does ultimately. And she's the reason he comes back. But chapter 39, they reach this Coliseum finally, and they have to give this blood offering. Yeah, which you kind of already alluded to. And the blood offering, unfortunately, are these beautiful horses. And this was awful to read. I hate this. I don't like any of this, and it still happened anyway. So they have to give the blood offering, and you know, it just sucked. It was not fun. I don't even want to get into it even more than that. So finally, Asar ends up getting transported. Basically, you see this forge, a metal structure that's been built over a certain amount of time, which isn't supposed to be there. And there's a desecration, is what Alaris is saying into Asar's head, that like, this isn't what's going on. This is a desecration of where I was killed. And he ends up going back in time to 2,000 years ago and sees from Alaris's perspective what happened. And you get the very clear understanding that Vitaris and Shiket bind his hand. Ix watches. Serana forges this blessed axe that she uses. Atraxis takes the axe. Yeah. And, you know, scolds him. So he's grieving Nyaxia and the threat that she's going to become. And Atraxis brings down the blade. And the thing that's important here too is that Misha notices that Asar like slips out of it, and she's the one who's like, come back to me, come back to me, come back to me. And there's a lot of repetitive language in these moments where she's trying to bring him back, and she has the ability, if you remember too, both of them do, of influencing someone. And that's why she felt bad about it before with Rain, and she's trying to do that again with Asar, is to try to like pull him back out and convince him to snap out of it. This is where there's a sound of ticking that they start hearing. And they're like, what the fuck is this ticking? And it's Serana, who has clockwork eyes.
I'm here.
Brass teeth and mechanical limbs and wings behind her. So she's literally this like steampunk looking god. And she's there. And this is where we realize like she's probably the one who killed the guard outside. Because now she's up in here working on some who knows what, you know, thrown together thing. So she's building a forge, of course. So she's got all her shit going on with the technology and weapons and stuff. She wants to use the blade that could kill a god, and she's building weaponry to forge a new world using Alaris's power. So cool beans, she's crazy. So Serana's nuts, and she plans to take the crown now from other gods. And she's like, I know they're all planning to do the same, which right on, sister. I agree with you. White Pantheon, they're all nuts, and they probably definitely are. So now she wants to use Asar as a weapon. She's like, oh, goody. You've wandered into my cave dwelling forge. Well, I'm going to go ahead and use you. And so Misha's like, oh, shit. And so she distracts Serana and hopes that would like get them out of the situation. And then Atreus and Selena are just like, yeah, I'm just going to dip from here. Deuces.
They take a weapon first.
Bring you here. Yeah, they take a weapon, a bronze weapon. And they're like, all right, later, dudes, like, we're out. we're done. And the way it reminded me of, not to use a Harry Potter reference, but this was the first one that came up. The way it reminded me, you probably know what this reminded me of. What do you think I'm gonna say?
I don't know. I want you to say.
Grip hook.
The what?
It reminded me of grip hook.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Grip hook like gets them. Which, by the way, if you haven't read this by now or watched the movies, look,
That's on you.
You know what? It's just too late. It's on you at this point. So anyway, grip hook totally betrays them and like leaves them with the dragon, and all they're like, "I'll get you in, but I wouldn't get you out," type of deal. So Atreus and Selena are like, "Bye, we're out." But also, I wonder, Atreus and Selena, you have to remember, there might be God touched, but they are not Asar and Misha. Let's be very clear. They are not them. They're not there on that same level of power, and they have an entire kingdom that they're responsible for. So in their eyes, they're like, look, I've done all I can, and also like, I'm not trying to die today. And Atreus also wants to protect Selena in this situation, and they're like, look, like, I don't know what to do. So I'm kind of, while I agree that there was betrayal, yes, and it's very House of Blood, and they have the whole shadow, like, House of Shadow, House of Blood, whatever. I still was just like, I kind of understand why they dipped at the same time.
Right.
Because, like, what are they going to do? I'm not saying I'm here for it, but, like, also, they just have a very different mission.
And that weapon
what
is right
to do. Yeah.
Right, and that weapon is gonna come into play later. It has to. It was a god-forged weapon made to kill other gods. So we're gonna see that in the next duology when all these characters come back together. I wonder if Misha and Asar are gonna have some words if they see them again. Like, what the fuck, man? So
But do we think Septimus uses it? Like, oh, I'm sure they're gonna have words, but like, does Septimus use it? What other guards are we gonna kill? Misha's already like racked one up. Like, are we gonna kill any more? Like, who's gonna die? I don't know.
I feel like a lot of them are going to die in this next one. There has to be.
Oh, I think so too.
There's going to be a reckoning, and I don't know who makes it out alive.
Good.
So
our girl Lucy grabs a weapon and flings it to Misha, and a sentinel appears that it starts attacking Serana and drags Misha into the forge. So yeah, here we go.
And think of like this forge, there's fire everywhere, but then it's underneath. There's like this big like ditch underneath, and that's where they're kind of landing, which is like under the fire, but not really. It's really fucked up where they are. So chapter 41 and 42 is like a culmination of like Misha fighting the Sentinel because they hit the sand, and the Sentinel is like pushing her against the wall, and this whole like meet her justice. The Sentinels are, if we remember, the warriors of Shakhet. So they're all about justice, and that's literally this one Sentinel who like tried to get her in the underworld is like following her around. They will not leave her alone and keeps coming back. We later figure out why that is and who it is, but for now we just see this recurring person. And Misha hit the Sentinel and they let her go. Her body was fading ultimately, so she took Alaris's blood from the wall and was transported back in time because this is Alaris's execution site. The blood of Alaris is where Serana is getting this power. And Atraxas, what she's finding is Atraxas may have ended Alaris, but he created something far worse, which is a vengeful Nyaxia actually stepping into like her true ultimate power. And then Arathan showed Misha the axe because now we're seeing the underworld kind of gathering around Misha in a way. The Sentinels like keep trying to trap Misha and condemning her for killing Atraxas, and then Vincent appears and gives Misha the axe and she swings it at the Sentinel. So here is where Queen of the Dead is coming into play. They're kind of surrounding her because they want her to win. They don't want the White Pantheon to win. They want her to assume her role. And unfortunately, at this point in time, they've attracted the attention of the other gods. So Serana is like, we gotta end this and we gotta get the fuck out of here because I don't want the gods to know what I've been doing because they're going to be mad that I'm trying to, off them. Asar and Lucy both attack her, which she flings Lucy into the wall like she means nothing.
Rude.
I know. Poor Lucy, such a good girl. And Serana offered him a bargain as they fought. Roll with the White Pantheon or create something entirely new. And he's like, fuck that, I don't want any of these. And he's like suspended in this like web of metal, like some sort of steampunk spider thing. And the clockwork soldiers around them in this coliseum start coming to life and moving towards them. And they're like tick, tick, tick. And Asar makes a final lunge towards the mask. I know. And then, so he's like lunging towards the mask, and the forge like bursts into flames because Misha is like, I got to get out of here. She hits the sentinel, and then like she has to make her next move, and then there's a lot going on right here.
Yeah. And so the forge's fires grow, the eye like speaks to her, and the flames like don't hurt her anymore because she's a wraith, remember? So she starts to attack the sentinel at full force with this axe. Wraiths are breaking free. They grab the sentinel, they're pulling them into the underworld. Misha gets this moment of like, all right, I'm not gonna I feel kind of bad for you. And she tries to help. And then the sentinel ends up raising their sword toward Misha. And what the fuck? So Misha starts climbing up the forge to like get out. She's like, all right, I'm done like with this whole situation. Misha starts going through to the forge with this axe. She ends up giving the Asar the axe. And he's like, wow, you feel like really solid. What's going on? Like, what's been changing? The Eye of Alaris, which is part of this axe, is all-seeing, and so images start like rushing through him. And Serana's back, and she throws Misha aside, and Asar is like, you're gonna fear me. Like, you touch her again, that's it.
And die.
Like, don't mess with her again. Yes. Touch her and die. So he attacks her with the axe, and the dead start to grab her. Asar now has multiple pieces of Alaris, so he's starting to feel this divinity and Alaris's personality. They're starting to like coexist, but Alaris is starting to take over because Alaris is the god of death, therefore a lot more powerful than Asar himself. And so Alaris's last remaining pieces of divinity are extremely powerful, and they're starting to kind of take over Asar. And what's revealed is that Alaris intended to punish Serana for everything that she did to him and Nyaxia. He's pissed. And so Misha's like trying to bring Asar back. Like, hey, hello, come back to me. And so Serana ends up escaping, which Alaris is pissed about and is telling Asar. Asar holds the ask and puts on the mask. He grabs Misha and Lucy, and then they jump through this like crevice thing. So then that starts part 4.
So I have a question before we go into part 4. The forge was referenced with Vincent because now you had mentioned Misha is like solid, and this is where she's getting her divinity. Do you think the reason why she got her divinity is because she touched Alaris's blood, or is there another reason why she gained that? Because Vincent references it later on.
At the time, I thought it came from Alaris. I didn't think anything else, personally, when I was reading it the first time.
Was it the touching of the blood, or was it like the grabbing of the axe? Which one do you think is what gave it to her? Or is it like a combination of both?
I'll be honest, all of this happened like really quickly.
Very quick. They're short chapters.
I was trying to keep up with what was happening, but I also know that Carissa doesn't do anything without intention. So I know like each line is deliberate. So I will say, like, I don't know. What were your thoughts?
I think it was a little bit of both, because she touches the blood first. And then after she touches the blood, she's able to wield the axe, because since the axe is like God blessed and she's a wraith, she shouldn't be able to touch it. And it should like burn her. But I think because she touches the blood first and like that's on her hands, she's able to grab the axe and doesn't impact her. So I think the axe is what gives her the power, but maybe the blood is the like the catalyst, essentially.
Yeah, and gives her some strength too.
Yeah. So a mixture. All right. So part 4, which is a heart. So we're getting our last Horcrux here, the heart.
Yeah.
And we begin with another interlude. So this is where Asar learns about his blood relationship with Alaris, because he didn't know that for his whole life. He had met Nyaxia before when she gave him the mission to travel the descent with Misha. So he even didn't know about this like before he was banished to Morthrin. Like, this isn't it's like some knowledge that he's had with him his whole time. This is very new knowledge to him. He fell in love with Misha, and the deeper they went down, the more they fell in love, and we all love that in Songbird. Nyaxia appeared to him right after he and Misha had sex, and she looked at him with disgust and called him foolish because remember they had sex on an altar, they spilled blood because they were drinking each other.
Yeah.
Nyaxia chose him because he carries Alaris's blood. Nyaxia was very important, like key in saying, like, you're not special, but you have Alaris's blood. So, and that's it. And that's why I need you to complete this mission. And when he fulfills the oath, then the blood will be taken from him and he will again be useless. So, that's what everyone wants to hear. You're useless except for what you have in your veins. So he had suspected he is the relic of soul, something to be sacrificed. So he figured that he's probably that. He's had inklings because like his magic, he can feel his magic react differently to certain objects. So it's just never been confirmed really what he was. Then he crafted a deal to ensure that only he was sacrificed and Misha was saved.
Of course. As one does.
And then chapter 45, this is directly what happens after Misha was fighting death as Asar took her to safety. And they are in the House of Night now. So Misha saw Rain, who was yelling at Asar for the state Misha was in because she's not looking too good. She was just fighting a sentinel, and they were just fighting a god. So Vincent appeared to her and told her to take the blood. They don't have time. The blood meaning the blood of Alaris that Aurea has been cultivating in his like private science cave. And Vincent's very much like, we don't have time. You got to do this now. And Misha's like, I'm just trying to live at this point in time. Can we just, it's okay. Just relax. And Asar slid the mask down and she saw the god of death staring down at her. And she reflects that she's mourning his perfect and imperfect face. And we see that a lot. Like the mask assumes his whole face. So she'll continue this where when he puts the mask on, she doesn't really recognize him because he's assuming more of Alaris than Asar.
Yeah. And in chapter 46, Misha awakes and she has to explain everything to Rain. So Rain and Misha have a couple questions, but Misha really only wants to see Asar. And Rain has locked him up because he believes that he's done this awful thing to Misha and like there has to be a reason for this. And so how they kind of got there, remember, is by wearing the mask. Asar can jump and he has a god power. So if he wants somewhere to go, this is where he picks to go. So he brings her there on purpose. And Misha only wants to see Asar. And she noticed that her burn scars are back. She's like, I feel heavy. Like she's trying to figure out what's going on. And Rain feels betrayed. Of course he does, because she won't talk to him. And she just feels like she just doesn't want to use compulsion again to get him away from her. But Rain finally agrees to bring Asar, but she has to remain at least 3 days so that she can heal. Chapter 47, Asar is in the prison cell with Lucy. Lucy is worrying for Misha, and there's this power of the mask, and he just can't remember everything that's going on. Asar is having a lot of moments with this where he's himself and not himself, and he's getting detached at different points, and like you're starting to slowly see you're starting to slowly see parts of him get taken over by what's happening, and he's got gaps in his own history where he can't fully remember like what's gone on. Misha's like, we need to get out of here, we cannot stay here, we're endangering them, we have literally have like gods on our tail, like this is not good, I don't want to bring this to my friend's doorstep. And she notices that this mask has left marks on Asar's face now. So it's not just that like he wears the mask and he looks different or he zones out, like it's literally imprinting onto like his face. It's like digging in because it wants to like claim him. And we know this later that he's becomes an heir, like he is the heir that's being claimed, and the mask like speaks to him. And so there's this whole thing around what's going on of like the layers of what Asar is feeling at this time. And there's a moment where she talks about how terrifying it was to lose him, but the feeling of Asar is the same, that he would just do anything. He would sacrifice anything, and he ends up touching her, and there's no pain suddenly. Like, there's no pain. and he realizes that he can touch her without burning her, and they kiss. So chapter 48, they're like, I don't know why you're mortal, but I can
Don't
touch you,
care.
and I feel like this is not. Yeah, we don't care. They finally kind of get their moment where Alaris tells Asar that Mish belongs to the dead, but she was pulled closer to life. And this is before Asar truly steps into his power and understands that he's the god of death and he can have a say in this. He doesn't really realize this at this point. But Misha has some of his power, some of Alaris's power, and has gotten healthier. And they have some very spicy time, which we talked about a little bit. But again, it's still plot driven. It still moves the plot. And this voice of Alaris later, after they have the spicy time, is important because it identifies that she's not actually fully mortal yet. And there's like no promise of what's going on is going to be permanent. So they're still trying to kind of work through this. But by chapter 49, Amisha does start to realize that like she feels good, which is we're 49 chapters in, and this is the first time our girl feels good. So that was exciting for me as a reader because I was like, finally, Misha feels something other than shitty. She finally had like a good time. She's finally able to touch her man. She's finally having like a good time. And the way that, you know, readers, we go through hundreds of pages like, come on, something good has to happen. And this is finally happening good for Misha.
I think it's important because she knows, she's like, wow, sex is fun. And it's because like her first time, she was with a god and it was like to be used. And, you know, so it's a good moment for her. Yeah, it's a good moment for her that she's able to actually be like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be.
Misha calls for Vincent in the mirror, actually, and he appears in this bathroom mirror. And Vincent is like, you need to use this advanced anchor spell to tie to the blood of Alaris. That way you can find this heart, like anchor yourself to the heart. Vincent had ended up creating all these hallways that are hidden from the gods that don't attract their attention because guess what? The gods don't give a shit, so they're not really looking. And Vincent like leverages this, and they have one chance to protect Misha, and Vincent have a one chance to protect Aurea and her kingdom. They have this conversation that kind of wraps it out. Misha takes all this information in, and she finally realizes like she's gonna have to have the talk, like the full talk of what's gone on, you know, because poor Rain and Aurea have been like in the dark this whole time, and now they're up in the house at night. Misha's gonna have to like spill the beans somewhat and be like, hey, this is kind of what's going on. And the fact she has to talk about the fact that she died. She has to talk about everything that's gone on in Songbird. She has to basically explain to Ray and Aurea. And I can just imagine like a fly on the wall in this room because she's having to tell like the whole story of everything that went on in her journey and how choices impacted House of Shadow, and that they like did not want to bring House of Night into this at all because they knew Ray and Aurea had their own shit going on with Nyaxia, and like they did not want to bring any more drama into this, but they need to involve them because they need to figure out the blood of Alaris and like need to find the heart. And Aurea and Rain kind of dealt with this a little bit in their duology with, I remember Alaris's teeth and like how to use god blood. I remember Vincent knows kind of about how to use god blood because he used it to keep his secrets. And so they need to do this though before the mortal realm falls, and really the underworld is at risk here too. So there's a lot that needs to go on to get this fixed. And of course, Rain and Aurea are like, "Yeah, we got you. We'll figure this out." Great. So imagine being Rain and Aurea just like have no idea. They're like, "What the fuck is going on? What?" Because
They're
Rain
ride
is
or
like
die.
ready to kill Asar first. Yeah.
Oh, for sure,
Rain
for sure.
does not trust Asar at all.
Which
because he's a House of Shadow brother.
Yeah.
Who previously had SA against Misha, the previous brother. So he automatically thinks that Asar, Asar has captured Misha basically and imprisoned her. So he does not like him up until like finally at this point where he like realizes, okay, she doesn't have Stockholm syndrome, like she does actually love the guy kind of thing. So yeah.
And chapter 51 is where Misha and Rain kind of start, I feel like, rebuilding their relationship here. So they'd been distilling the god blood from tiny particles remaining of Simon's body and the materials from Vincent's work with the help of Lilith. So remember, Simon is from Ashes and the Star Cursed King.
Oh yeah, who could forget?
Yep. So just in case we forgot about him. Yep, he becomes useful later on. So Asar and Misha would need to essentially build a ritual circle to open the pathway between worlds, and this is gonna be a crazy ritual circle. They need a whole room covered in all these glyphs. And as they're preparing, Rain and Misha wander the palace grounds and they see cracks that are open from the underworld, and they're really seeing the repercussions that are happening in the House of Night, how there have been wraiths and soul eaters coming through. And Rain is really struggling with the fact that Misha died and she had kept all of her history a secret from him, because he has told Misha everything. And then he's like realizing like, wow, I know nothing about you. Like, I know a little bit, but I don't really know what was going on in your head this whole time and like your background and all that.
Yeah.
So Rain then questions Misha about Asar, but he can see that he has a love for her. He's like, I know that look that he has for you. And she's like, well, he just makes me want to have a happy ending. And then we have, so as they're having their cute moment, like Asar is like trying to work and Aurea's like, staring daggers at him, and she's like watching him and threatens him if he ever hurts her, you know, kind of like a big sister type mentality, even though Aurea is like the little sister at this point in time. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. If I ever hurt her, I will welcome you to hurting me, because that's not something I intend to do. And then Aurea and Rain brought them to this room that Vincent described in his basement, and they emptied the room of all their furniture, and then they met Lilith, who seemed oddly familiar to Asar. So Asar is like commenting like she's kind of familiar in a way. Remember, Lilith is from Six Scorched Roses here.
Yes.
So I thought,
Veil.
I don't think we get any reasoning behind this, but I thought it was very interesting that he finds her familiar in some sort of way.
Yeah, it's a weird call out.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's going to come into play in the next duology, but I don't know.
For sure. It will. There's no way that's just going to be skipped over.
Like, let's just drop it.
Such a weird reference.
Right.
Yeah.
So they get to work. They use chalk, razors, paint, to whatever they can find to create this ritual circle throughout the entire room. As they work, the mask and eye like scold Asar. So this is like, you know, Venom talking. He's like, you're working too slow. You should be working harder. This isn't the work of a god. La la la. But
oh yeah, talking mad shit for so long.
Then the voice continues to like theorize how to conquer the Nightborn Palace. Like, actually, let's just take it over. And yeah, I would be going insane if it's kind of like in Quicksilver, with the Quicksilver in his head. It's just but it's even
like
worse here.
Voices,
It's even worse here.
And it's only two. Yeah.
At least. But they're like bickering together, and no, that would be awful.
Well, they're two gods, so yeah. One god.
two pieces of the same
parts
god.
Of a god.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Misha, she's wearing herself out, because all they're doing is carving these glyphs, and it's a lot of work, and they need to figure out like they need to do it perfectly. Any glyph cannot be wrong. And she's realizing she really just craves Asar's blood, and Aurea is like offering her some blood. She's like, this tastes gross. I don't want this anymore. But they're studied in Vincent's private wing, and this is where, you know, this is kind of like a sad conversation where Misha is talking to her about what it's like to work with Vincent. And she's like, Aurea's like, one, appreciating it, but two, like, you get this part of my dad that I never got. And it's really kind of sad for her.
Yeah,
but Misha's emphasizing like he just really wants to help the House of Night. And Aurea just really wants an apology from him because he was a shit dad. But Misha's getting this like helpful type of dad. So I feel bad for her. I feel for her.
Fuck. Yeah.
And Aurea emphasizes that Misha and Asar have a home there if they ever want it, but we know Misha's home is actually Morthrin. It's not the House of Night. So then a loud sound, only Misha could hear, interrupts their conversation, and Vince's voice like roars out to get her away. Her being Aurea, like bring Aurea to safety, because that's really what he wants. Yes, he wants the safety of the House of Night, but really we're seeing he actually wants the safety for Aurea and make sure she's given proper stuff. And then the monster breaks through the cracks in the floor. And here's where it gets really fucked up.
Yeah, so chapter 54, I and the mask are guiding Asar to like finish this ritual, and he's feeling the strain of the underworld, but he like keeps working, and Lucy ends up like grabbing his wrist forcefully to get him to stop, and he hears Misha scream, so he bolts out of the room with Lucy, and the dead are like everywhere. So I imagine this very horror film like they're just everywhere. This is a crazy scene. And there's a true monster that ends up appearing, which is huge and has hands and limbs that are reaching out. It's consuming beings that were still alive. So there's this like black body and ghostly silhouettes. Dead are screaming in unison. There's a gold skull clung to its head, and it's just a crazy situation. And then there's a guardian as well. We know the guardian are parts of the underworld. They guard different parts of the dead as well. Misha is protecting Araya from this monster. Rain and Asar swoop in to grab them, and they're trying to attack this beast and help seal the crack. The eye guides Asar to tell them the amount of glyphs that they need, and this monster has this massive open mouth, and there's hundreds of souls that are just begging for mercy. It's just a really terrible scene. And you see Selly, this little wraith girl, come back, who's reaching for them. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? Why is Selly here? And they pull this crack closed. They seal the creature inside. The underworld is still like not in a good place. Everything's getting ripped apart. And Sivernage is split in two. Sivernage is the city, right? So this is huge what's happening here. Massive. There's no like other way to explain it. So the underworld is literally coming up from underneath. That's why Vincent's like, the fuck? Like, this is bad. Bad. So Asar sees that Misha's hand is like smoking. She felt solid, but she now like smells of death. We know that Misha's like how she is not permanent. So then 6 soul eaters, we remember those from the previous book in Songbird. Soul eaters are super fun. They are now crawling through the streets of Sivernage, and they're killing people left and right because of course they are. And they need to go put them back into the underworld. This ritual to like get everybody sealed in, Vale needs to be there for this. And we figure out why here in just a minute.
So chapter 55, Misha and Asar finished the ritual. Misha felt very far away. She looked and felt dead. You know, something's not going right with her. And she rested with Asar as they mourn Selly. And Asar blames himself for her following them and essentially becoming this crazy ass monster that they just saw. Really, Misha's just trying to be this light to him and saying, you know, you can do this. We can change the world together. Don't give up on me. This, you know, we can't change the past, but we can make a better future here. And they promise each other if they continue, they won't let whatever happens take away their mortality. And they both know they're lying at this point in time because they both know they'd sacrifice whatever they can or whatever they need to for the other. So, and then this is where Misha gifts Asar a cello. So he had mentioned in Songbird that he wanted a cello, and he had told her, you know that in the Descent, and they have this cute moment. So it kind of reminded me of Ghost, where they have like the clay and they're working on like this clay pot together. So essentially, like Misha's like playing a cello, but it's like bad, and Asar's like helping her next to him, and they're playing this song. I went like this, like it's a guitar. I clearly don't know cello. And he kind of played a song, and it's this cool moment where he's playing the songs, but Misha is using her illusions to actually create the images like in the air in front of them. I thought it was beautiful that whole moment came together. And then they get spicy time.
Yeah.
So, you know, brief little spicy time together. And there's this quote here that I really liked. It says, I couldn't help the sense that perhaps we were like 2 celestial bodies in the sky, him arcing from mortality to divinity, me from death to life, the 2 of us colliding for only an ephemeral moments, magnificent in their impermanence. So I thought that was just like beautiful sentiment to brief, and they're fleeting moments essentially, because they know that the time that they have is brief depending on what the future is going to hold, because they're both at a catalyst in where their next step is going to be. He's going into divinity. Is she going to go to life? Is she going to go back to the dead? So there's questions there, but they get to share that moment together. And then the next chapter, super quick, Asar, Misha, and Lucy fall asleep, and then they wake up to voices, and Vale has arrived.
Yes.
Or so we think.
Vale came to Rain. Yeah, Rain in Aurea's private meeting room. Misha immediately recognized that there's something odd about his appearance. Vale ends up having the glass of Alaris's blood. Asar enters the room, immediately recognizes that he's just not even looking at Vale, and he threatens him. So there's a moment, like, they're already not starting off on a great foot here. Chapter 58, Gideon sits in the center of the room. Great. He told Rain and Aurea that he is not Vale, so we realize that it's not Vale, but Gideon used compulsion on them all. Gideon had told Asar that their dance was not over. Gideon was saddened by Asar's reaction. One night, Asar can destroy the kingdom, and the next he falls in love. So there's this like resentment that Gideon has toward Asar, thinking like, I shaped you. You're supposed to do X, Y, and Z instead of him being his own individual person, but I digress. So Asar has to come up with this plan. If Gideon ends up smashing this vial of blood, the gods are going to be upon them. So Gideon had planted an extra glyph in his head when Asar had stolen them, so that it was an anchor that was just going to track Asar. So Gideon's known this whole time, like, where Asar has been and what he's been doing. And since Asar acted on deprivation to conduct the necromancy spell, he knew one day that Asar would become the key, and he would lead Gideon to all these treasures, because he knew that Asar's weakness would eventually be what, his love basically for someone else is going to eventually be his downfall. So Gideon uses this to his advantage. The House of Night is the bait for the gods. Gideon made sure that the gods could sense this blood. So he's basically already calling out for them because he's freaking piece of shit. But anyway, Asar looks out the window and see that the gods are watching. So Asar lunges for this vial and Gideon smashes it. So now, chapter 59, great. The room goes up in smoke. We knew we'd see Gideon again, so like, not surprised, but also like,
he's a piece of shit.
What the fuck? Can no one who is someone that teaches somebody something like be good in any of these books? Like, I swear, every mentor is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
The room goes up in smoke and gold is plummeted to the ground. Explosions are going all throughout the Nightborn Palace, and sentinels have taken over the House of Night. And so then a sentinel grabs Misha so that she can face her justice and like takes her and just is like gone into the sky. Yeah. Gone. She gone.
And where they go next is wild. So they go back to Vostis, which, if you remember in Songbird, this is this is where Misha was in the Citadel of the Destined Dawn. This is where she praised and worshipped Atraxis. So they were at the main temple, the Citadel, where they were meant to pray for holidays or divine punishments, which we know that's where she's there for. And humans stood and looked down on her. And this is where she's realizing that Shaket is actually taking all of Atraxis's followers. And she's like, maybe she's promising them like vengeance, like, or something. But because all of Atraxis followers are like, well, our god is dead. And there are 3 human acolytes.
Well, there's no sky either. Yeah. Like, it's all dark.
Exactly.
Night.
So there were 3 human acolytes that were behind the Sentinel, and they plan on sacrificing her in honor of being saved from her shame. So again, this is like gaslighting. I'm going to kill you so you don't die of shame. And they have the attention of the gods, ultimately. So the gods are everywhere. They have the attention of the gods in Vostis. Nyaxia obviously plans to oversee the bloodbath of her enemies, which is the White Pantheon. And all innocents are going to die there. She realizes as she's looking outside, she's like, Nyaxia is coming, and these humans don't stand a fucking chance here. And she warns them, and they wouldn't listen because there are Shadowborn illusions all outside. And guess what? It's already too fucking late. The Shadowborn are there. And the city is being ransacked as they speak. And the Sentinel, like, first hesitates and then looks out the window and basically just was like, fuck, at that point in time. They are all dead. And as Misha is like, seeing the shit show that's about to happen in Vostis, Asar is like, wow, the Nightborn are not prepared for this at all. And the Sentinels are, and countless human blessed with Shiket's weapons. So it's not just like the Sentinels are coming down. There are other humans that are clearly on this mission that they know they're going to die, but they're doing it for the sake of their god or goddess. And it's a lot. But Rain yells to Asar, like, go get Misha. You have to retrieve her. And he wields the mask in the eye and opens a spiral to go back to Misha.
Yeah, and so remember, he can kind of travel with these different elements of Alaris. So that's what he does with like the mask and the eye, is he's able to like travel. So we jump back to Vostis and chapter 62. Thousands of vampires have entered the human city, because remember, Misha originally was of the Vostis is a human realm. And so she originally comes from there. And ironically, her whole mission that her god sent us on Atraxis is like, oh, you're going to go convert the vampires. Like, the vampires only exist at night. What are you even talking about? Like, how are they going to come out during the day and like worship Atraxis? Like, shit doesn't even make sense. We get into chapter 62, and we're back in Vostis. The Citadel's in complete chaos, of course, and Misha has to compel this girl to let her out. The girl's name is Kyrene, and she promises, like, I'm not going to hurt you. Like, I just want to get out of here. So Misha guides her to the back of the Citadel to escape, and they witness all these people getting ripped apart in the temple. It's like horrific. They finally get to the door, and the door was locked, and it was locked deliberately to trap everyone inside. Cool. Kyrene plays to Shiket to help as fire explodes all around them, and Misha is actually flung out of the building. So like war is in like full effect now. There's no like maybe about it. War is going on. It's hit the human realms now. The vampires are pissed. Everybody, because what's going to prevent it? It's permanently night. So the way that the humans had the protection of the sun does not exist anymore. So basically the vampires were just biding their time to finally seek revenge on the human lands and the White Pantheon for basically how they've been treated. And Nyaxia is like, woohoo, on the sidelines. I can just like see her like cheering. So chapter 63, Misha's like gets blown out, right? She lands on this beach, and there's corpses and blood everywhere. There's cracks where the underworld is still coming up through. So like this whole imagery, and this is where I'm like, this needs to be animated or something, because like the CGI for all of this would just be like insane.
Be too much.
But I digress. The Sentinel finally comes back that's been following her. And we're like, why the fuck is this Sentinel like so persistent? Like, what is going on? And it makes so much sense. Yeah. Because the Sentinel knows her. The Justice is her sister. But anyway, they've been following her, attacks her, and there is a mask that's cracked, and she starts to see that it's Seisha, her sister. And it's just this moment where it finally clicks for her. And it's really sad, because her sister is trying to get justice for Misha, because she's just like, that's why she's serving this other god, is because she realizes Seisha gave up everything in her afterlife form to go and serve what she perceived as justice. She sees glimpses of her past life, and she decides, she's like, I can't kill Seisha again. So she has this act of mercy, and she can't catch her, but Lucy ends up jumping in between them. So more night fire explosions are going, and the destruction was as the prophecy predicted. So she grabs her sword, and she keeps kind of fighting, and she can't kill her sister at all. And Asar shows up, because at this whole time you're like, where the fuck is Asar throughout all this? Is he going to come for our girl? Because remember, he had just left Rain, so we've been waiting for him to show up. So chapter 64, he finally does. And this scene is really difficult. This is where I was like, Carissa, girl, what are you doing here? He looks at everything, and he has this attached observation, because remember, now he has the eye, he's wearing the mask, it's digging into his face. You know, we're having this whole Tom Hardy moment, as you said before, where this is like taking him over, and the mask, and I know that Nyaxia is coming. So at last, Asar finds Misha across the beach and reaches out to her, and then Ygritte comes back, and you're
stabs
like,
him.
fuck. Yeah. And stabs him. Yeah. And her blade is god touched, and she's coming for revenge, which as she should, because Ygritte's pissed. She's like, you came up in my house, then you killed my man. I'm pissed off. I get it. We get it. So she gets revenge for her kingdom. So now she's on the human land. She's on the warpath. And the voice that changes through Asar is like, it's Alaris now. Because he's been wearing all the stuff. So he literally is Alaris. And he's like, no, this isn't happening. So Ygritte offers Nyaxia the blood of her enemies, the crown of Alaris, the eye, remains of Alaris's divinity. Nyaxia lowers herself to the sea, and the masks commanding him to walk to Nyaxia. So Alaris has taken over fully, basically, Asar. He's not himself anymore. And Asar's mortality is like, look back, look back, look back, And yeah, he doesn't. So he looks for a second, but it doesn't register as much of anything. There's no indicator here there's no indicator for him to go to her. He doesn't feel like he wants to just be with Nyaxia. And that's because Alaris's pull is so strong at this point over him that it hasn't clicked for him that he has the power to tell it no. Even though he tries, he can't really do a lot with it. But yes.
Right.
Heartbreaking.
Yes, and he'll continue to have that battle with his divinity, and his mortality will continue to battle, and for the time it spans that he is in his divine role, there are moments where it's silenced because he's actually like a god. But yeah, it's a continual battle that he has. So chapter basically for the rest of this part is Asar talking to Nyaxia and Misha basically looking at Asar like, you promised me this one thing. And so that's basically, just to sum it up, Asar is talking to Nyaxia about his divinity. So Asar ultimately realizes, like, you have the heart, you have his heart. And she's like, huh, you're actually smart. She does. Yeah, and then she pulls out a heart from her own chest. She pulls it out, and he like comments on how it's like, oh, that was kind of small. Which, like, I thought that was kind of ironic because, like, the gods are huge, but, like, obviously the gods' hearts would be small because, like, they're kind of heartless beings.
Yeah.
And Alaris had given Nyaxia his heart before he was taken, and she told him not to meet with the gods, but he didn't listen, and it was honestly the key to her own divinity as well, because she was kind of she's referenced this, she was a lesser god before, but this is having his heart, she's been able, and like all that rage and vengeance she's been able to rise to this power. And then this is kind of where she created the children to feast upon the blood of mortals because of all of this shit. So she didn't just create vampires for shits and giggles. It's like, no, this is a product of what they did to me, what the mortal gods did to me. So now I will create my children because I'm a lonely, and they will kill those, they will feast on them so they have this feeling of remorse. So I like that, how it gives the vampires a purpose. Ultimately, they're not just vampires for vampires. And then Asar offers her a deal, ultimately, and she's like, huh, okay, I guess, but gods love deals. And he says, make him a god, and he'll be her ally, because he's realizing, like, you're just lonely. And then he sees Misha reach out for him and commented on the lack of justice Misha had on her life. And Nyaxia believes he wants to make the world suffer for their treatment so a new world can begin because of Misha. He wants the world to suffer how she was mistreated. She even offered Asar that he can bring Misha with him. Like, you can have her with you, but what he really wants is, he really wants something greater, and he wants to spare the humans in the House of Night because he knows that's what she would have wanted to, not just to be kept as like a pet or a concubine, ultimately, if that's what he's being, keeping her as. So he bargained with her. Nyaxia really craved love more than power. Honestly, that's sad. Yeah. But that's the truth. And she accepts, and she says, a heart for a heart. And Nyaxia rips out his mortal heart and then fall into the cracks of the underworld. So it drops down, and then she puts Alaris's own heart into his chest. And this is where he assumes the god of death. And for a good portion here,
turning back now.
Yeah. And for a good portion here, he is the god of death. He doesn't reference himself as a Sar. As we're talking, we'll reference him as a Sar, but in the book, he's like the god of death. And he speaks in third person too. And in the audiobook, I thought it was really interesting because the voice even changes in by the narrator. So I thought that was really good to indicate the difference between a Sar and the god of death.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And so he's officially god of death, and he can just see everything that there are souls screaming in agony. Nyaxia looks at him in disappointment because, of course, he didn't like look like Alaris. She was hoping that he would like look like Alaris all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I don't know how she thought that that was going to happen because she had just had his heart and she didn't look like Alaris, but whatever. She was like pissed. Yeah, she was pissed that, okay, you have like 3 things of my husband. You're going to like look, you're going to be him now officially, because she never really cared about Asar. Asar was just a vessel to get her what she wanted, which was ultimately to bring Alaris fully back. So she hands up her end of the deal, and there's Misha staring up at Asar and is like, remember your promise, remember. And then there's this background noise of like, however, the god didn't remember or care. So like he's now fully the god, and he just abandons Misha there. So he ends up going with Nyaxia, and the Nyaxia tells all the vampires you're going to conquer the White Pantheon. She has her moment, and they're going to go save the House of Night. Chapter 67 is Misha's perspective, and she's trying to hang on to Asar's promise, but she did not see Asar either. She like realizes that like he may have given up his humanity, and she's kind of not in a good place by this, and neither is Lucy. Lucy chases Asar into the sea. Seisha's still attacking Misha, by the way, her sister, and so she's got a lot going on. Misha ends up embracing her sister, and Misha falls back into the underworld. So that brings us to the end of this section 4, part 4. Part 5 and 6 is where we're going to start next week. So much happened in these chapters, and now you have Misha and Asar like completely splitting. And the way at this book, at this point, I was just like, let me sit down and like finish this, because I was like, I needed to know how they were going to end up coming back together at this point, because how Misha's going back into the underworld because she was already dead. Her sister's dragging her under, and now you have Asar who's hanging out with Nyaxia and is basically Alaris. It's like a shell of himself. Like, what happened to Asar? Like, just gets like crazy. This whole story is just so nuts, and I was here for it. I really enjoyed this book, so I'm excited to talk about parts 5 and 6. But now stay tuned, because we had a special guest join us. We are going to transition over to Jess, who is our special guest. So join us now and tune in for Jess. Enjoy. Night Owls, we are welcoming Jess to this episode. So Jess, welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where our listeners can find you?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jess. On Instagram, I am TheLostBooksOfJess. On my page, I deep dive a lot of books and cover my reactions to them. I'm just a one-woman show, though, so I'm happy to be here with both of you. I largely read things in the fantasy, romantasy realm, and I'm super excited to talk about Crowns of Nyaxia and Carissa Broadbent are like god tier things for me. So
awesome. Yes, truly. So good. Okay. Awesome. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. So we're going to hop into our first question. What did you enjoy most about The Fallen and The Kiss of Dusk?
Oh gosh, that's like such a... I mean, everything. I thought about this question for a long time before I came here tonight. And I think the number one thing I enjoyed about the book is the way it brought all of Nyaxia together by the end. Yes. Like, it converged everything that happened in the first duet, everything that's happening with the gods, the things from slaying the vampire conqueror and 6 scorched roses, and I feel like it set us up for like the grand finale of the Bloodborne duet, and that was just, the way she did that was masterful in my opinion.
Yeah, I was like there like girl, we have 100 pages to go. What are we about to do here? Because we got a lot of loose ends. Like,
so many.
What are we doing?
One of my reactions at the end of The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk was, did this even have a conclusion? Like, I don't know that it did. Like, it really just set us up and then left us there, kind of.
Well, the epilogue, I was like, what? I had no words. I was literally just like, what, how did we get here? In your videos, it was so funny because I was watching a lot of your facial expressions because I was watching your clips back, and you're like, and then this happened, and I don't know how this happened, and I was dying. Yeah, and that was hysterical.
Wild. Totally wild. The epilogue was like a slap in the face in a good way. Yep. Like a book slap. I don't know.
Well, I was waiting too, and we'll talk about this more, but I was like waiting for like Septimus to like, I was like, he's not just gonna like, how is this gonna work? You know, because I felt like there's so many talks about in Fallen of like passage of time and like not being able to truly like articulate passages of time. And so she says like 10 years later, but then I have like questions on that. Is that really 10 years? Who's 10 years? 10 years for whom? Yeah. Who? Everybody did Misha and Asar have their own 10 years? Like, where did they have other years? I don't know. Like, I feel like the timeline is just like there's a lot happening. But anyway, so I wanted to ask you, since I've watched a lot of your stuff, and I love all your content. It's really fun.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's fun, and you keep it lighthearted, you keep it positive, you keep it fun, but you still go really in depth. And I can tell that you're like really passionate about Crowns of Nyaxia, which was like a huge reason why we wanted you to be part of this coverage. Is we're huge fans of Carissa Broadbent and Crowns of Nyaxia and the whole series and the whole world. And you know, we started covering her in October of last year, so truly a year of this. And we started our show because of Serpent and the Wings of Night, and how Michelle and I just like, I mean, it was like you said, it was like a God tier read. It just was so good. And I think we thought it was really underrated by comparison to a lot of the other series that are out there. But I wanted to talk about how your passion for books and your like what you work on in the Bookstagram book talk space. Can you like tell us a little bit about your passion for that and just a little bit about you?
Yeah, so my passion for books is so multifaceted, I feel like. I mean, I'm a lifelong reader. My whole life, books have been part of the journey, even if I put them down for a while, because like in college, there wasn't as much time for reading for fun, and picked them back up again. But I feel like now in my like late 30s, this like renewed sense of reading has been such an exploration of joy. Finding joy and doing things that mean something to me, and reading books just because it's fun, and finding other people who are having as much fun as I am. Like, I was blown away at the world of social media readers. Like, somehow I missed this. I don't know. I wasn't on Book Talk or Bookstagram, and then I was like, I'm making an Instagram and talking about books. And then little did I know there were so many people who were like, we're reading that too, and we're moms or we're dads or we're people who work all day and then we read at night. And I was like, this is nuts. This is amazing. And so for me, it's become an outlet for showing that adults can have fun reading too. And reading is not just a hobby at one point in your life. You can enjoy it forever, and you can be silly about books, and you can cry about books. Like, you can throw your book at the wall because you're so mad, and fangirl about authors. And so someone the other day told me, they're like, I think you're less a Bookstagram and more like an exploring joyagram. And I was like, I kind of love that, because I just
really sweet.
Want to have fun. You know, and books are such an avenue for fun, even if the fun looks like crying, you know, which I cried a lot for Crowns of Nyaxia, but it was fun. So I think that's really where my passion in Bookstagram lies, is in the connection with other people who are finding joy in books and exploring other authors and other fandoms and finding those pockets of joy.
Yeah, because you're doing Mistborn now, aren't you?
I sure am. I'm almost
I haven't
done.
Started that yet. My brother has been like on me to like start the whole Brandon Sanderson thing. He's like already been down the whole rabbit hole, and he's like, you need to start this. And I'm like, listen, the TBR is long, okay? And like, that's a lot of books.
It's a lot
like, that's
of
a heavy commit.
I know. Someone sent me.
How are we liking? Yeah, are we liking Mistborn though? Like, what are? Yeah, it's good.
I am really liking it. It's different. Okay. It's not. I mean, you can just. It's not romance. Like, at least yet, or in any way that's like significant to the plot. So it's more like high fantasy, like the magic system. But it also is like, if you like Crowns of Nyaxia, which is what we're talking about, it's Mistborn is equally full of political intrigue and like this corrupt system and oppressed people who are trying to figure out what they're going to do in the face of such adversity. And it's kind of like a heist feel, like a found family, people coming together to pull off the unthinkable. And it's really cool. I mean, but again, if you're picking up books for the romance part, it's not going to feed you in that way, but it has everything else. I am fascinated. I'm like 80 pages from the end, so I'm in that like last 100 pages like death trap. Nothing is happening.
Okay. Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
you had mentioned that tear-worthy moment. So I have to know, what was your tear-worthy moment in The Fall and the Kiss of Dusk?
Misha and Asar's wedding, when they took they took vows with each other, and it was like they mixed in necromancy and like that was like happy tears. Sad tears. That scene where are they in Vostis, where the humans are getting attacked by the vampires, and Misha thinks Asar is coming to save her, but Asar gets Alaris's heart and like loses himself and doesn't save her, and she's just on the beach like, "Why he's not coming?" Bro, I was like, "Girl, he's not coming. We're falling apart." No.
Oh, it was brutal.
Brutal.
That was rough.
And Lucy, right after that, Lucy's like freaking the fuck out because he's like, "No, where are you taking him?"
Right?
And like chases him into the sea. I'm like, "Lucy,
Not
you're such
Lucy.
a good
She
girl."
jumped into like that crack in the underworld and just I was like, "Oh, stop." I was like, if the ghost dog goes, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
I think Carissa
Seriously.
understands that and makes sure that Lucy is okay at all times.
She better be.
I feel like she learned a lot from like the end of Songbird, where everybody was like, "Where is Lucy?
Yeah.
Where is she? She better show up." And then now in Fallen, they're like, "Oh, okay, don't worry. The dog is fine."
No.
I'm like, she better be fine.
Oh,
After she killed the horses.
Oh,
that was also that was
awful.
hard for me to read. I was like, "No, the precious babies."
Brutal.
Ugh.
It was rough. Yeah, I did not love that. It's not my favorite.
I understood why, but it wasn't the greatest.
No.
So, okay. So in the Crowns of Nyaxia world as a whole, who's your favorite character and why?
So my favorite character, hands down, has to be Misha. I don't know that I've connected with an FMC on the level that I connected with her, and specifically her journey of like rediscovering herself, right? She grew up and believed one version of herself to be true. And she was this acolyte and she believed in her religion, and that all fell apart for her. And then she had to kind of rediscover who she was meant to be and face that head on. And as someone in their late 30s who had their own like kind of late 30s crisis in life, I was like, I like get this, like where you thought all these things about yourself were true, these characteristics and these qualities, and you need to embrace a new version of yourself that isn't any better or worse. And I just like felt for her the whole time as like her worldview crumbled and she had to embrace the continued good parts of herself to save the world, honestly. And she's still the ray of sunshine she always wanted to be. It just looks different, right? And she found people who can appreciate who she is now. And her character is so good. So good.
She really is.
Yeah.
No, she is. I think she too. She's just that positive light. Like even when Asar leaves her on the beach and it's like debilitating.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other word to describe that. She's still like trying to be positive. Like she's still trying
hopeful.
To figure out like, okay, that's happening right now. Okay, but I have to go do this other thing.
Yeah.
That we're just going to table that. Like she just has this ability to kind of like continue to like she's been through so much. She's like of a female main character I think I've ever read in terms of like a journey. Oof. She went on one. Like there's no comparison. I can't think of any other romantasy, and there are a lot of badass female main characters, but like to your point, Misha, her journey, like where she went and like the levels of all of that and how it all fit in and like the ties, and it's just I agree. A crazy storyline of what went on with Miss Misha. And she went through a lot.
I would have never guessed it. Like, we meet her in The Serpent and the Wings of Night. She's this quirky best friend to Rain, right? She's just bubbly and she takes Araya in, you know, and it's this thing where you're like, oh, haha, Misha. And then you learn there's so much more to how she became the way that she is. And that just like knocks the wind out of you almost.
Only Misha can be like a Sunshine character, also be like the queen of the dead,
right?
Because like that should be like a bleak type of character, but she's not at all. She's exactly what they need.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's just phenomenal. I would agree. And her journey, like, and I think a lot of it's because her journey spans like decades essentially, because it starts when she was young and she's been a vampire for, I want to say like 100-ish years. So, you know, there's a lot of character development, a lot of growth. I'm so happy that Carissa picked her to be this duet.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't even imagine it being any other way if she went like a different route with the second duet. So what about your favorite couple?
It's hard. It's hard. All right, listen. I'm going to knock people out. So I'm not a huge Rain fan. Okay,
that's fair.
I spent a decent amount of that first duet calling him a crap weasel. Like, I just don't like I support his support of other people, but like I don't know, whatever. Rain people don't come for me, so that knocks them out. If I don't pick Misha and Asar, I do have to say Selena and Atreus are another great couple for me from Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. I think they are great. And I mean, how often do you read like grumpy and grumpy romance? Like, they are equally grumpy.
Yeah, they were definitely super
somehow
yeah.
It works, and I like love it. And I love seeing them in The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk when they encounter Misha, and they're like both. Neither of them have time for her. They're like, "Listen, sister."
They're like, "Why is she still talking?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here? Like, just get your girl, Asar. Like, what's happening?"
But I fear,
but also low-key pissed at them. I mean, they just fucking left. I'm just like, what the? I was like, they just left. I mean, which they like, you know, Carissa set it up. Like, they're gonna betray us. They're like, yeah. So I understand why he left, but I'm also like, you just left.
You just don't have time for any of this, man. They got things to do.
They got a whole kingdom to like figure out.
Also, like, why? Yeah.
I fear Septimus is going to become my favorite couple, though. I fear he's going to win me over.
Do we fear it? Do we fear it, or are we excited about it?
I need it.
I do too, but I also spent a large part of the first book thinking Septimus was like a troll under a bridge with like a monocle and like gray hair, and then I saw that character art, and Carissa was like, "No, he's a daddy," and I'm like,
he's actually really hot. Yeah, and we're like, "What?" Yeah, no, he's really hot. We're like, "Oh." Okay.
That rock.
I had no idea he was super hot either. Yeah, it was not.
That was probably
I thought he was.
Well,
just
you're seeing him from Araya's perspective.
Yeah.
That's and Araya's like, ew, he just smokes things. And that's it.
And hangs out in the bushes outside. Like, what?
I'm not going to lie, Septimus's physical appearance might have been the biggest plot twist of the series for me, and it wasn't even an intended plot twist. Well, like, whatever, here we go.
Yes, I need to see a blood daddy because I already have Daddy Vincent, so I need to see my bloodborne daddy.
Jess doesn't know this about you, Michelle. That's her...
I love Vincent and the fact that he gets a redemption, a mild redemption arc, but still a redemption arc. I need to know what's in that fucking letter, though. I do. That's my thing. Yeah. Like, I need to know what's in it, and I want Carissa to release it, and maybe she probably never will, and she's just going to leave it as a cliffhanger, but I need to know.
It could be good bonus content. You never know.
Maybe.
It could be.
Daddy Vincent. I picture Vincent as Fabio from like the romance novel covers with like his flowing blonde hair. I don't know. I can't. I also didn't like Vincent for a very long time and thought he was the crux of all problems. And he was a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of is.
He's not a good guy.
No, he's not.
People fought me on that. I made a video back when I was reading the first duet about how I thought Vincent was still inherently not great. And people were like, he was trying to be a good dad. And I'm like, well, you can try to be a good dad and still be.
And he sucked at it.
Like, I don't know. Whatever. It's a fight for another time.
As a Vincent lover, I understand that he was a terrible father. He may have tried his damn best, but it was not good enough.
Wasn't enough.
But seeing the growth in the arc and like kind of seeing his perspective, especially now that like he's dead and he's trying to save the kingdom. At first he like comes off as like, okay, well, you're just a selfish asshole still because you still think that's your kingdom, but really realizing that a lot of it is for Aurea. And I'm like, okay, you're getting your redemption arc.
All right.
Still sucked as a father.
I'll allow it.
But he's still daddy.
I'll allow it.
Look, that's how I feel. Jess, I'm always like this because Michelle is queen of redemption arc. She wants a redemption arc for Tamlin. She was team Dane. Then she was team Vincent.
Now everyone's team Dane. Listen,
I have not read.
Eyes on me, Atos.
I have not read Onyx Storm to know why everyone's all of a sudden team Dane. I'm just like accepting the memes. I'm like, all right. Whatever.
Will you read Onyx Storm?
No spoiler.
No, I don't know. I'm not a big Empyrean girly. Like I read Fourth Wing when it was first out, and it was like, oh, Fourth Wing, and I read Iron Flame when it first came out, but then I don't know, Iron Flame didn't grab me in this way where I was like frothing at the mouth for the rest of it. I still have I pre-ordered Onyx Storm. It's on my shelf waiting for someone to pick it up, but eventually.
Someone, not Jess. So next question for you, though, of the Crowns of Nyaxia series, which is beloved and wonderful and perfect in almost every way, which is your favorite book so far and why?
That's hard. These are hard. That's like picking my favorite child. So part of me wants to say Six Scorched Roses because it's just such a beautiful nugget of a story all on its own.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And I feel like it gives this much better view into the human part of this world because we're largely getting things from like vampire dominated society. But in that book, we are in a human area where one vampire lives, our pal Vale. But I don't know, out of like the bigger books though, it might be Songbird. I love meeting Misha and Asar for the first time and getting pieces of their backstory. I feel like in Songbird we got more of Asar's backstory, like some of the ways he became a necromancer or the things that happened with like Ophelia and stuff like that. And then in Fallen in the Kiss of Dusk, we got a little bit more of maybe what happened to Misha or like their journey together to the House of Dead or House of Death. But I don't know, Songbird in the Heart of Stone has a soft spot here for meeting them for the first time.
That's fair. Agree. And it makes sense too.
Yeah.
And you get because Asar is like, I don't have fucking time for this girl. Yeah. Because all she does is talk. Yeah. And then you slowly watch him be like endearing to that and like love that part of her. And it's the sweetest thing to go for like, oh my God, she's giving me a headache. I cannot anymore. Yeah. To, oh, I can't be without her.
Yeah. What about you two? What are your favorite books in the series?
Oh, honestly, mine was Songbird. And a lot of it was because, literary nerd, the way that it's set up to be like Dante's Inferno and the rings of the underworld, like I was just like geeking out to it. And I loved the creation of that world was so different than anything I've read before. And it's not just like because it's the underworld, like literally each level had a different personality to it and a different landscape and a different reasoning behind why it is the way it is. So I just really loved her attention to details in this completely unique space. And the ending like was gut-wrenching, just absolutely gut-wrenching. I was like, Carissa, why did you do this to us? So what about you, Danny?
I mean, I would agree with all of that because I think Songbird, and I think again, Misha's story in the romantasy space, I feel like there aren't a lot of similar tales like that. Yes, it nods to like classic literature with Dante's Inferno, but in the truth, right now we're seeing a lot of, we do see a lot of vampires, a lot of dragons, a lot of monster romances, a lot of different types of genres, but I haven't seen in the romantasy genre a storyline that was similar this way, that had this like journey through the underworld. And I thought that was really cool that she did something different. And it was truly standalone and separate duology from the first two. I think my favorite book is going to be book 6. I'll be honest with you. I think the final book is gonna be like my fave
Yeah.
because I feel like she is just so good that she's just gonna like everybody's gonna be up in there in 5 and 6, and I'm just gonna be like, what? And she's just gonna because it's called the Crowns of Nyaxia, right? So like, what's gonna happen with these gods? I just really feel like book 6 is gonna be like I'm on the edge of my seat waiting because I loved all of them. But I think like her plan though, you know what I'm saying? I just think that she's known that she's writing 3 sets of duology. She's known this for years. So I just think she just is gonna knock it out of the park for the number 6. I think that one's gonna be like my fave. But we'll see.
Yeah, I actually went to one of her release events for Songbird in the Heart of Stone last year. And one of the questions, her answer was about what you were saying about how creative this world is. And she was saying that this series is when she realized as an author, and I might be misquoting her, Carissa, don't come for me, but this was the gist, where she realized she could make it up. Like she could make vampires in an underworld and there are actually no rules and she could just be creative. And I think that's really what we start to see in this series, like as she keeps going. And that's been some of the critique I've heard from people. On the other hand is like, I can't follow this. What's it even about? They're like giant mushrooms in an underworld chamber. And I'm like, but that's what's cool because it's not what we've heard before, even though it is a nod to something like Dante's Inferno. It's so like an author's creative playground. So I agree with you, Danny. I can't wait. She's got to have good stuff coming in book 5 and 6.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I'm scared for the foreshadowing because this book foreshadowed a lot of the god's destruction of literally everything. So I'm like, oh god. And then I'm worried she's gonna start collecting crowns like they're fucking Pokemon cards. Like, I got you, and this is my world now, and you're gonna fucking live in it. So yeah, I'm nervous, but it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Septimus has something up his sleeve because he's just been
he always
getting
does.
closer and closer and closer, and we're finally I think we're really going to see the House of Blood's revenge era. I really think we're on a storm of House of Blood revenge era. Well, I think that's what we're going into.
As they should.
Yeah, Carissa's been laying the breadcrumb trail at how the Bloodborns were like Nyaxia's redheaded stepchild. You know, like, and she punished them. And then in that epilogue, it is so Septimus has a plan. Septimus has a plan.
Oh, yeah.
And he has that sword. He has the sword that we were wondering where it was for like half of Fallen. He has it. So
yeah, because she kept mentioning that the god only had so many swords. I'm like, where the fuck? What are we talking about? Why did you keep telling me this? Like, why do we keep saying this? Yeah. And then you're like, oh, and it all starts.
That sword. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
Okay. So what recurring themes did you notice in Chris's writing, and what did you resonate with most?
One of the recurring themes is one of the ones I already mentioned when I was talking about Misha, and that is the theme of reimagining yourself or becoming new versions of yourself. I feel like we see so many of Carissa's characters do that, where they were like raised one way and realized they have to rise to a different occasion or use things that they thought were weaknesses as strengths in the end. But another one I think we see, especially in Asar and Misha, is living through your trauma, dealing with your trauma, and having your trauma propel you forward. Right? Misha has a lot of trauma in her past for what happened to her religiously and with her sister that she'd been bottling up inside and realized she had to face that. Asar as well has trauma of everything that happened to him, learning to be a necromancer, his failed attempts at necromancy that led to so many things. I mean, being squirreled away on an island with our pal Gideon. Like, we're looking at two characters.
This poor child.
Poor child.
Their childhoods were a mess.
Nightmare.
Both of them. Oh my God.
So much trauma, right? And even going back to my favorite crap weasel, Rain, has trauma in his past, right? But we watch all these characters realize again they have to face it and use it somehow. They either have to walk through it or crumble. And I think that's a really powerful message, like to the reader on the other side of the story.
Yeah, like Vincent, who learned it in the afterlife. Like, he didn't learn it while he was alive. Not really. Like, he didn't apply it. He understood that he shouldn't have done the things he did, but it didn't really resonate until his life was gone. And I think that's because that spoke to the fact that he felt he was untouchable, that he had immortality and he wasn't going to die, and he had an arrogance to him. And so you see his arc as well, just like it's a redemption arc, but it's also truly like you're watching this character like learn to be a better person as the story goes by, and like have regret. And now, you know, him saying at the end of his point that like, you know, if she ever needs like an army, he'd be happy to lead it. And that is such a huge change. That is such a huge change for Vincent from the beginning.
He was like Highness,
he's gonna go
Highness, sir.
No, not even that, but like from book one, just seeing like his character arc from book one of like now he's talking to a Shadowborn girl who's like lowly birth, who now is gonna be his queen. Like that's for him. Living Vincent would never like that would never ever happen. So like it just, to your point, I agree with you, Jess, that it's a beautiful way that Carissa does that, and she does it over a long period of time. So you get to know these people, you get to know their characters, and it really does, like, yes, there's violence and gore and sex and all of that, but the true root of who these characters are and what they go through is so relatable, and it's really great to read. I think that's what makes her series so powerful too.
The one like redeeming thing for Vincent, like in the things you were saying though, is then you get into the theme of how much should a character fight against what they always thought was true, right? Vincent was raised for hundreds of years in vampire society, which our human brain doesn't clock with, right? We don't live in this like bloodthirsty, you have to kill your own family to become like a leader of something. Vincent was raised entrenched in that. Why would he have ever fought it? You know, we hope someone would be this like vigilante justice, like for the betterment of people, but Vincent was raised for the betterment of Vincent. And it took people like Rain, who lived as a human, to see like, this is not how this should go down, to show Vincent that. So it's almost like I see that in so many other fantasy books where characters have to eventually fight against the way they were raised and might have never even realized if it wasn't for another character. Which is like,
did you read Plated Prisoner?
No,
by chance?
That's up on that's my winter hopeful series. If I can get through Mistborn first and not get sucked into the 30 book Cosmere.
Well, Jess, we'll have to have you back when you read that, because we'll touch on that very subject.
I'm ready in the future.
Michelle hasn't read it yet either, so I can't talk about it, but she's gonna read it, and then we'll have you back.
All right.
When you do read it,
all right,
go down the rabbit hole for that one. Yes. We have 2 books left to go in this series. What are you hoping to read? And kind of take this question as like, what are you hoping to see or read? Technically it would be read, but like, what are you hoping to see like for the story itself?
Okay. All right. As much as I love a redemption arc, I don't want one for Nyaxia. I want to spend book 5 and 6 taking her down. She is rock bottom. I don't know. If she's redeemable, I will eat my words. I will replay this episode and I will go, you were wrong, Jess. You were wrong. But like she is my villain that I want out. And I want Septimus or somebody to do it. I want that with all my heart. She's just making me so mad.
Okay.
I don't know.
So we don't have any empathy for her with like her storyline at all.
No,
how are we feeling? No,
I wanted to. I did. Okay. But she's like, at what point do you say someone has lost the plot? Like and like you switch over from tragic to villain, right? And I think Nyaxia has made that flop.
Has she always been a villain though? I don't know. I feel like she kind of has.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I
think she's mad. She's pissed.
Yeah. Well, every time she shows up, that's all she reminds people of is how scorned she is, how everything has gone wrong, and she's going to ruin everyone else's life so they can be mad with her.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Nyaxia is cute.
And I hate to not be
the epitome of that.
I hate to not be a girl's girl. You know, I get it, but like at the same time, it's gone a bit far, Nyaxia. So I don't know. Okay, maybe I should dial it back. I want to see a readjustment of like the gods and the way they control everything, right? Because clearly that isn't working. Okay, so
no, the White Pantheon sucks too.
So maybe if I don't get
all the gods are pretty evil. Yeah, to be honest.
Yes.
They're not okay.
They are all awful.
So I want, as much as I hate to say, like, there's like a weird structure of oppression in Nyaxia, because I feel like the gods oppress the vampires and the vampires oppress the humans. Like, there's like a weird, and I don't know. I want it better. Septimus has got to do something about it. Daddy Septimus. That's the other thing I want. I want to be wiped clean of thinking Septimus was a bridge troll. I want Carissa to fix that completely for me in his narrative. Like,
I feel like that's going to happen for sure.
Yeah.
I also think it's going to be interesting having basically a new female main character, because she structures her books with the female main character as being the first point of view in each new duology. So I'm kind of sad we won't really have a lot of Septimus point of view until book 6, like his true thoughts. But I am interested in seeing like this new character and how that's all going to kind of like play out too. That should be interesting. But on that note, I had a thought while you were going through that. And so, you know, Asasia, who's like got all the wings and the fingers and the whole deal going on with the fates. It just came to me as we were talking about this, and she talks about all the different threads and paths that they can go, right? And she's kind of like pulling people. I don't know if we've noticed this in the series, like that she's kind of like picking and choosing kind of which way things are going to go. And I just want to know, like, is she trying to like be the lead god? Like, is she trying to remove everybody in the White Pantheon, including Nyaxia, so she's the only one left? Like, what are we doing? And the only reason I think about that is like, she's supposed to say the fates like do what they're supposed to do, but she's definitely influencing them, and she has like multiple times now. And so I'm trying to figure out like, what's she playing at here? What are we doing, Asasia? What's going on, girl? What are we doing? I don't know. Thoughts?
I don't trust a single one of the gods as far as I can throw them. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm glad that I'm glad she came through as like the god who ended up like helping the events in Fallen because they needed someone. But I hadn't thought of it that way though. Now I'm spinning.
I actually have a theory on that.
All right.
Ooh, hit us with it.
So Asasia has been collecting demigods, and Nyaxia had said she was once a demigod, and everyone said like they were once a demigod, then they rose to this power. I think Asasia is collecting the demigods that represent the different, because the gods are like the different elements, right? So, and without the sun god, you know, there's no sun. So I think she's collecting the different demigods so she can have, like, I think she wants to be like the queen of the gods, but she's going to create her own new White Pantheon type of god. So now she has Asar, who's a demigod. She has Misha, who is the queen of the dead, and then she has the other 3 that were introduced that were little seeds, and that was such like a very like quick
subtle
mention of them that I think they're gonna play an important part in removing the gods from their throne, so that Asasia can come queen of all and have her new gods that are hopefully better, still same power, and better than who was there before them. Because honestly, listening to the conversations between the gods was like, you guys are like bickering little children. Yeah. Come on.
So in your theory,
that's what I think.
So in your theory, she's well intended. You know, like that she wants to fix it.
Yes, that's because she's been. I still think
she wants the power, though.
Right. I don't think it's completely like she's not doing it for the good of all. Like, I don't think she's entirely doing it for the good of all. I think she's doing it so she can be in power and she can have control. But it probably is, you know, better that the gods who are currently the gods are out of it because, you know, they all suck. So, yeah, I think it's mostly
so she's
for
not necessarily good, but this world benefits regardless is kind of what we're saying. Because the White Pantheon sucks.
Right. I don't think Asasia would do something just because of how the fates go. Like, she obviously wants something that's in her favor, but she's not going to doom the world for the evil. That's just not the vibe I'm getting. She's kind of a heartless bitch, but fair. She's, you know, she's going to pull the fates a certain way. So yeah, that's what I think may or may not happen.
But I still wonder how any of this is going to fix like the literal rift in the world, because that's like where we ended, right? The world has been cleaved. We have the House of Death and the Nightborns on one side of the rift, and the Bloodborns and the Shadowborns on the other with Nyaxia. Like, what brings peace to that? And like, is it like in your theory, does another set of gods bring peace to these vampires who are violently opposed to each other? Like, do we ever see Asar's sister forgiving him? She's on the other side of the canyon there.
Egret.
Egret's pissed.
She's pissed.
Yeah.
I don't blame her though. I mean, obviously, like, you know, I get Asar's actions, but he killed her lover and like completely destroyed her kingdom. No. I don't blame her for being upset. Girl has a valid point.
Yeah. She does.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with the houses. Are they going to remain 3 independent houses, or are we going to have some unity for the power of, you know, let's not just destroy our entire world? That'd be nice. But that's very unvampire like, you know. They want the power.
Yeah, they do. It's tough. I just think Astasia, but see, Carissa does this, right? She's got how many plot lines of like, how many did we go through in Fallen? I mean, just so many different things where I'm like, how are we going to tie, where are these things going to, you know, Asar and her and Misha were like split off for a time where I was like, how are they going to come back together? Like, how is this going to work? Like, it's just all, and she makes it work. So I don't know what she's going to do, but we haven't figured it out yet, which is why we will continue to read, right?
Absolutely.
That's right. So switching from Crowns of Nyaxia, talk to us about your journey in the Bookstagram book talk space, and what are your goals specifically with your platform?
The $1 million question. I don't know that I've known what I'm doing with my platform since day one. I'm just making it up as I go. I want to keep deep diving books because it's almost like an informal one-sided book club where I just talk to myself and hope people receive it on the other side. And then people do, or people come back to my videos later, and like 7 months later, I'll get somebody who's like, I was finally reading this and you're my friend now. And I'm like, it's awesome. So I want to keep creating that content and talking about what I read. I had dreams of a podcast at one point in time, which is why I have a microphone and headphones. And I was like, gonna do it. I don't know. We'll see someday. Who knows?
Well, you're always welcome. Come on over.
Thanks. I mean, like, one of my miniature pipe dreams is I'd love to get into doing something with authors. Like, I've never interviewed an author before for any reason or another. I don't have a reason to do it. I just think it'd be cool and I want to do it. So I don't know. I'm going with the flow because ultimately I love my content, but it's not my day job. It's my hobby. So whatever happens, happens. So all I know is I will keep reading and talking about it and seeing what doors that opens for me.
Speaking of doors, so are there any opportunities on the horizon? Anything that like you can share that you're excited about, offers you have, things like that that's kind of going on?
No. I did. No.
Okay.
No, I don't have anything going on. I'm recording this podcast with the two of you. I have another podcast. I don't know if it's been like said or not who else I'm interviewing with. So I'll just say I'm being interviewed on another podcast coming up.
Oh, awesome.
But
you were on a big podcast though, weren't you? You were on what other podcasts have you been on?
I was on Fantasy Fangirls a while ago talking about book joy. So I'm doing another podcast coming up. But yeah, that's really all I have. Things have kind of slowed down a little bit. Like the start of being a teacher by day, the start of the school year always puts this stuff on the back burner a little bit because the beginning of the school year kicks your butt. So,
oh, for sure. And you talked about how having your platform is like a one-sided book club. I'm like, oh, it's the classroom. You're talking books and they're just like, okay, I'm not gonna contribute.
Yeah.
But you're passionate about it.
I love it though. It's cute. Like, I mean, I do get messages. Again, it's like largely other adults, right? So not teenagers, but messages from people who are like, I don't know anyone else who's read this, but I know I can scroll back through your videos and feel like I'm talking with a friend for a few minutes. And I'm like, oh, that makes me happy. You know, that's even though I don't get that in the moment that I'm recording it, I get to pour out what I was thinking. It always makes me happy that other people who are maybe feeling a little bit alone in the book space are like, oh, she was reading it too. So I think that's one of the things that keeps me going, like with that type of content.
That's awesome.
Okay, so my question is, which is your favorite genre?
Okay.
Now that we're talking books as a whole, and then following that, your favorite author.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. We're going to lock into this question. My favorite genres are definitely fantasy and romantic fantasy, romantasy, whatever version of that you want to be. I mean, that's been my obsession for the last few years. Outside of the fantasy genre, I love thrillers. It's like always a genre that I come back to. Those are like my quick weekend reads because I feel like a thriller I can like down in one day and I'm like, oh, so good.
Give us a top thriller.
A top thriller?
Top thriller. Yeah, like what's a fave?
None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell.
Oh,
yes.
That one messed me up.
So good.
Messed me up.
So good.
I love Lisa Jewell. I love Ruth Ware. I got into Frida McFadden a little bit, but like, I don't know. This might be a hot take. I'm so sorry. I don't know. She's not my top for me. So I'm sorry, Frida fans.
That's fair.
But I love
That's fair.
I love thrillers. I also dabble a little bit in historical fiction, mainly when Kristen Hanna comes out with a new book. Like she would be, if you asked me for my favorite author outside of fantasy, it would probably be Kristen Hanna. She's so good.
Yeah, God tier. Yeah. So good.
I've gotten away from contemporary romance. I used to read a lot of like Emily Henry and like that genre of books, and not so much anymore, but definitely fantasy. In fantasy, my favorite authors have to be Carissa Broadbent, Penn Cole, because I'm obsessed with the Kindred's Curse saga. Ooh.
Yeah.
Who else? LJ Andrews, I feel, is like severely underhyped with the Everseas and Broken Kingdom series. I love her books.
Ooh, we haven't read those.
Oh,
yeah.
It's so good.
TBR.
Oh, I mean, yeah, just keep the TBR rolling. So they're probably my favorite ones in the romantasy genre for sure.
Okay. I'll have to check those out.
Awesome.
All right. Awesome.
And you briefly alluded to my next question. So what series do you believe is overhyped and underhyped?
I hate to say something is overhyped because, I mean, you touched on this earlier, Danny, when you said, like, we support people loving what they love. And, like, that's my biggest thing that I stand upon is I want people to read what they want to read. I want you to find joy in what you find joy in and yell it from the hilltops, okay?
Yeah.
But I do wish there was more branching out from, like, ACOTAR, for example. I enjoyed ACOTAR. I read the whole thing. I will probably never reread it. It was fine, right? I found joy in it at the time. I respect the joy other people find, but I feel like there's so much out there for people who enjoyed ACOTAR, and I want people to like swim further out into the waters, so to speak. So that would be like, if I was going to call something overhyped, that might be it. But again, I respect the joy for sure.
Okay. I think that makes sense. I think what you're saying is like, it's been out for a long time and there's so much new that maybe things get passed over because, and maybe this is kind of like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but my thought would be like, maybe our social media space, because it's so repetitive there, that maybe like we're kind of part of the problem in the sense that like, not us specifically, but like the social media realm talks about ACOTAR constantly. And I wonder if that takes away from other opportunities for there to be more space for other series to be talked about. Not that we don't love ACOTAR too, but I'm thinking that's kind of where we're going with that. Okay.
Yeah, and I see it. I was talking about this in my content the other day, right? If you're trying to create a social media presence for yourself, you're trying to feed the algorithm, right? And the algorithm has been trained to seek the content from some of these bigger series that more people have read, and it just performs more, right? So I don't blame anyone at the end of the day for continuing to make content about certain book series when they're trying to get out there, right? And make a name for themselves. Yeah. But I do agree with what you just said, Danny, that I think we're therefore cyclically feeding the problem of people only hearing about certain books. And I've experienced that. And like, you have to accept that when you talk about other books, your content might get half as many views or less of what you were previously getting. And like, it can be a tough pill to swallow again, when your content goals are different than just, this is fun, I'm having a good time. So I get it, but I do think that's a huge, huge piece of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
You asked underhyped books too, right?
Yep. What about underhyped?
Oh gosh. Well, I think this is less underhyped now, but I am also a huge fan. I didn't name this earlier, of Rachel Gillig. So the One Dark Window, Two
So
Twisted
good.
Crowns. And then
Yeah.
I feel like the reason I'm saying this is now less underhyped is I think The Night and the Moth got a huge amount of like hype. And she just released the title of the next book that's coming after The Night and the Moth, which will be The Knave and the Moon.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And that's a duology too, right?
Correct.
Because she has her first duology. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hate me for this. I have The Night and the Moth. It's literally
I
like
see
right
it above your
behind me.
head. That's why I was
I haven't read it yet because I kind of want the second book to come out.
okay.
And also because Michelle hasn't read it yet. She hasn't read the first two. So
Yeah.
not that I'm blaming
Again,
Michelle, but
TBR.
I just feel like because
No, you're
I've
blaming
already put,
Michelle.
like
Since we keep calling Carissa this like queen, have you two read the War of Lost Hearts trilogy? Have we read Carissa's whole bookography?
just called us
I
out.
sure did.
Yes.
Because it
Yeah.
is severely underhyped while we're here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's about to
Okay,
get its day in the
that's
sun.
done.
It's going to get its day in the sun
With it-
because it's
yeah.
getting
Well, I know
re-released.
the refresh.
Mhm.
They look beautiful. They look
Yeah, the
so good. No, we
covers,
haven't
so
read
good.
them. We both have not read them.
So remember,
right? You didn't read them yet, have you, Michelle?
No, I haven't.
So remember when you said you're like, I don't know if I've read an FMC. It's like such a tragic story as poor Misha. I would like you to meet Tasana and come back to the table when you're done. Not that your TBR isn't long enough, but
Yeah. Michelle, you just got a few more to add on. NBD.
They're like
it
this.
keeps
They're
growing.
thick.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, no, I saw.
Yeah.
There's those are some thick girls.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
But
I don't know why I thought they were shorter. They're
No.
not?
No, they're beefy.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're even beefier than. I would say it's very equivalent
Like Fallen?
to like
Fallen's long.
Fallen is pretty thick.
Yeah.
Fallen, and I was like,
Yeah, they're not Crescent
Fallen's
City
long one,
thick,
like this.
but they're thick.
Yeah, no, we're not 1,000 pages
No.
in, but
On that note, did we like Crescent City? Rate your ACOTAR. What have you read? Rate your mass.
Gosh,
ratings
I've
for
read
series.
the
I'm
I've read
curious.
the whole Massverse. I'm in it.
Okay.
Okay. Throne of Glass is top tier for me. I really enjoyed that series. That's what got me started on Bookstagram, really was deep diving that series kind of by accident, and then it turned into a whole thing. I do think I like ACOTAR more than Crescent City as a whole, but I think
Fighting words, Jess.
But I think Crescent City 1, House of Earth and Blood, is one of her best books on its own. Like out of all of them, I think it's a masterpiece. I think
Absolutely.
For me, Crescent City lost the plot along the way. Like I read it and I enjoyed it and like how it ties into the greater universe, but
there was a lot of world building and some parts I'm like, we're just on a different planet.
Yep.
This is fine. We're somewhere.
Literally. Yeah.
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 Like,
So I get that.
not
That was
exaggerating.
that was a beefy series, and I think some of the plot did get lost in the world building, but that world was a lot more expansively built than ACOTAR.
Correct. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the plot development more,
Mhm.
especially like Bryce. I like Bryce's story and Brune Dannon. I love my winged boys. However, Rune Dannon is like top tier.
Yeah.
So good.
He's just phenomenal. So yeah.
I do. It's hard. I feel like comparing the three Mass series are apples and oranges, even though they fall under the same genre umbrella, because they're all three good at something different. Like Throne of Glass gives that more classic fantasy, medieval almost aspect, right?
Yeah.
Crescent City's urban, and ACOTAR I just think leans heavier into the romance piece. Like that's what I feel like people are really there for in the end of the day.
No, for
I
sure.
mean, this is gonna be like, I would say like ACOTAR for me was like a twisted Disney princess story. And then I felt like as a whole, and then Crescent City was like this really modern urban set thing that I had never read before. And I think that's why I loved it so much, is because I was like, what a risk to take to like bring in cell
technology,
phones and
yeah,
like
magic.
like you have like What? Now that we've said way completely off the target, I have a question for you.
Okay.
It's in here somewhere. When it does come to reading, what kind of reader are you? Are you like a mood reader? Do we read a lot of books at once? Do we have an audio preference? Like, what do you listen to? Like, what speed is your audio setting? I've asked you 6 questions. Pick one.
I'm ready.
Just pick one.
I am a severe mood reader. I have to hoard books so that there's always one that will strike me. Right? So I don't even want to talk about I just buy them hoping the mood will hit at one point in time. I do kind of plan what series.
Yes, I was going to say Jess, the book dragon.
A little bit. I do stick to plans if my mood has committed to I knew I wanted to read Mistborn next. So I got my mood ready to go. I try to read more than 1 book at a time. 2 is my limit, though. I'll usually have a book I'm reading to make content about, and then a book I'm reading and not taking notes and just reading a couple chapters a day for fun. I have never finished an audiobook. Admittedly. I started one and I was listening to it diligently when I mowed my grass, and then I haven't been mowing my grass lately, so I'll find out how it ends eventually. I think I was listening to it on 1.5. I don't even know what that means. I just know 1 was way too slow, so I kicked it up. I read a lot on my Kindle. I got a Kindle almost a year ago, and that changed my whole life because I realized my eyes need glasses. And I have some now, but on my Kindle I can blow it up. Yeah, but 2 books is my limit. Severe mood reader. Never know what mood will strike me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you read at night primarily, would you say? What time of day are we reading usually?
I read all different times of the day. I read a lot in the morning when I get up well before I need to so that my house is quiet, and I'll read for a while. I also all read at night. My husband and I read together at night, but I get tired way faster than he does, and then I'm I'm out, 1 chapter later. I do read a lot in the evening, after dinner, when we're all in our own activities, my son is doing his own thing, my husband's doing his own thing, I'll read on the couch. So it's sprinkled in throughout the day, really.
Love that.
Awesome.
Boy moms unite.
Yes.
I'm boy mom too.
Yeah.
Love that. Michelle is
I will be soon.
Yes. Yeah.
So throughout your reading, what have you learned about yourself?
I think over my time as a reader, I've learned that I am more deeply analytical than I thought. I think for a lot of my life, I thought I was reading just the way you watch TV shows. You're just binging it and reading it and not really thinking too much about it. And my new reading journey has taught me that I am getting a lot more out of books than I thought I was, as I'm thinking about the characters and how they connect to me and the themes of the book and how that reflects in my own life. So I think I've learned that about myself. I've also learned books have helped me a lot with my anxiety as well, I think. So I deal a lot with anxiety in my own outside of books life. And I feel like books have provided a space for me to calm my mind down for a while and focus on something else, or even just see resilience in characters and think, wow, if they could do that, I can do this. I can do anything. So I think those have been 2 really big things with books, is teaching me about how much I love to think about them. And also, that was kind of a weird answer because I said they help me escape my life, but help me deeply think at the same time. But really, that's what I've learned.
I knew what you were saying, I think. Yeah.
That's awesome.
A good answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I relate to the part about it helping with the mental health piece. I think reading is such it's odd, right? Because reading is such a unique, individualized experience, but then this world we're in makes it social. We've created something that's a social space, and it's such a good thing, because I feel like the bookish community and the book community as a whole generally is a very welcoming, environment, and we all want to encourage each other, and we want to be there for each other and support each other as we read different things, and be open to not having stigma against genres and areas that maybe books will go that you're never going to go in real life. I personally absolutely never want to live in any of Carissa's worlds. Not one time. Not for a day.
Never.
ever.
I'm dying.
And so it's funny to me when people who don't read who are like, "Oh, do you read that because like that's where you want?" I'm like, "No, I don't ever want to
No.
be there. No. No, it's because I'm reading to experience something that I don't ever want in real life. That's the whole basis of it, is that my brain literally can go somewhere else for a time and just completely be this immersive thing. So question on that. When you're reading, do you visualize what you're reading?
100%.
Or do you just see words on the page?
No,
Okay.
I definitely I mean, I might visualize it very wrong. Like I tend to associate things with characters or like picture, like I tend to picture characters in books as characters from other things that I know. Like, for example, there's a character in Mistborn that reminds me of Jess Mariano from Gilmore Girls. So in my head, when I play out these scenes, that character is Jess. But I do play things out in my head for sure. The best I can.
Now, important question.
Okay.
Are you
I'm ready.
in Gilmore Girls? Who was your favorite boyfriend? Was it Jess?
Yes.
Was it Dean? It was Jess.
It was Jess. Who says Dean? Okay, wait a minute.
Dean sucked.
Dean?
He was awful.
And then, okay.
He was the teenage boyfriend that we all make as a mistake.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yeah, and then absolutely.
And then I feel like everyone wants to redeem Logan the way we redeem all great, morally gray daddies of the book world. And I'm like, no. Logan could have been that guy, but he wasn't that guy. And he wanted to cage Rory, and I can't get behind that. I can't.
Fair. Do we think Logan is the dad?
If they never resolve this, I don't know that I can die peacefully. I mean, is there going to be another year in the life? Do I get to know this?
I don't know. I thought they said they were done. I don't know if they're going to make any more.
Did we never find out who the dad was?
No.
We never find out who Rory's dad is?
Oh, not Rory's dad.
Not Rory's dad. Rory's pregnant.
Wait,
at the end of the year in life.
Sorry, did we just spoil that for you?
I don't care.
Okay.
It's fine. I'm 15 years late, so don't worry about it. Clearly, the TBR got so high that I didn't catch the end.
Well, because she technically sleeps with Logan and Jess, right? At like approximately the same time.
Yeah.
So who knows who the dad is? I hope it's Jess.
I do too, but I don't know. I don't like, while we're here, if Rory was the FMC of a novel, I wouldn't like her. Like, that is the other thing I have realized more as an adult is I wouldn't read it. Right. I think I was in that show for Lorelai Senior, like trying to get her to succeed ultimately. Yeah. I don't know. What a throw. So like this show has cycled back around, like teaching in today's 2025 world. They're all back in. They are in Gilmore Girls thanks to Netflix. So
yeah, Friends had a big wave too, of like everyone being into Friends. I'm like, what's happening? And then Twilight, because Twilight was on for the longest. Yeah, that was a big wave.
Do we open that can of worms? Also, Edward or Jacob?
Look, we did. We went down. We spent a month on Twilight, and it's a month we can never get back. And don't get me wrong, okay? I loved Twilight back in the day. I absolutely loved it. And then in my 30-something years, went back and reread it. And I honestly... I don't know. I think the movie rewatching, we can do that. The book reading, though, I think it should just kind of stay in the past. I'm just going to say, I don't know that it'll be reread again. I just also have so many other books to read, but that was a journey.
It doesn't hit the same.
That was a journey.
In your late 30s.
Oh, no.
No, it's not.
No.
Well, I only read it in my 30s. I didn't read it as a teenager. Yeah. So I'm like, the entire time, I'm like, red flags. What is this? Where are the adults? The fact that he could enter the school ground and check this girl out of class and no one bats an eye. I have many qualms with Twilight.
Yeah, well, it hit different back in the day.
It was.
It did. It hit very different.
I love that for everyone who was able to appreciate that back in the early 2000s.
Although Midnight Sun, listen. Did you read Midnight Sun, Jess? Because that came out in 2020.
It's also sitting on my shelf, woefully unread. It's over there hanging out with Onyx Storm.
It's a stalker romance.
Yeah, because he's
but he's stalking a 17-year-old, and it's like we had a lot of issues with Midnight Sun.
I have a lot of issues with Edward, And this is like a TED, whatever. Today is not the day for that TED talk, but I will forever be Team Jacob purely on the fact that Edward is a creep. He's a creep.
Thank you. Everyone's like, what do you mean Team Jacob? Like, if all else fails, he's a puppy and there's a pack of them.
It's fine.
Transform and then he's fluffy. Yeah. That's honestly.
Okay, but I think that we've talked about this, and I do believe that Bella and Edward are like fated mates, which was not a thing then. We've talked about this.
I don't know.
I think Jacob is the lesser of the evils in terms of the things.
He's a red flag too. The whole thing.
They all sucked. They all sucked. To be honest.
All right. So a new question now that we've gone completely off the rails again. Alrighty. That's totally fine. What themes, on the note of Edward and Jacob, do you enjoy reading over and over again? So what themes do you enjoy reading repeatedly? What do you like to read?
All right. I will never tire of fake dating. I don't know why, but every single time two people are like, what if we pretend to date for a while? I'm like, I know where this is headed. Let's go. I don't know. It cracks me up every time. I also love, I don't know that I love enemies to lovers, but I call it slightly irritated to lovers. Like the Asar and Misha situation, right? Like he never was her enemy. He just was annoyed.
Right.
And I love watching that annoyed character, whoever it is, like warm up along the way. I don't know.
So you might not like the third duology because that's true enemies to lovers. They're like actual enemies in this one.
I'm gonna find a way to like it because I gotta find out what's going on with Septimus. But it just probably like it doesn't warm my heart in the way that like when it's just like annoyed people. But also, how often do we read true enemies to lovers? Like if it's true enemies to lovers, I'm in. But a lot of times, like, is the one really out to like the other one often? I don't know. But
yeah, so like Quicksilver. Did you read Quicksilver?
No.
Not yet? No. Okay. A lot of people say that's enemies to lovers, and I'm like, it's not.
Yeah. I guess it depends how you define enemies. Like, what makes an enemy versus just like, we don't like each other. You know, I don't know.
Well, and I also just wonder if like enemies to lovers is like a marketing ploy, you know, because it's so popular that they just like slap that on everything.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. There are few that are truly like enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
Taurus Season, which releases really soon, by Bryn Weaver, and we had the really awesome opportunity to interview Bryn. She told us that her Taurus Season book 1 is truly enemies to lovers. So I'm kind of excited to read that. So that's kind of the issue with enemies to lovers as a trope. When they label it like that and then it isn't, you're just like, well, this was like, you know, I don't know, not friends, and now we're lovers. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, so you kind of listed already, which was you kind of said it already, but what you said your favorite romance trope. So what is that? Fake dating. Mm-hmm. And what would be like your least favorite? What are you like absolutely no?
I mean, it's not an absolutely no because it would eliminate like every book on planet Earth with romance in it. But
I know what we're going to say.
Well, do you? Because there's 2 that this could be, in my opinion.
I have a guess.
Okay, we'll see if you're. I bet if you're wrong, it's the other one. The third act breakup. I can't do the third act breakup, and it's always because of miscommunication. Is that the one you were gonna say?
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah. So because
the worst.
The third.
This was our big beef with Iron Flame. We're like, girl.
Yeah.
Violet, my friend.
The third act breakup is so like it's gonna happen. It's like clockwork. It's always because somebody overheard something they weren't supposed to overhear, and now the other person's the devil. And then at Christmas night, they're going to rekindle their love. You know, like, and I'm like, okay, I've been here, I've done that, I bought the T-shirt. You know, so I much prefer like when a couple gets together and they stay together. Like I think they can face adversity without this cheesy breakup in the end.
Yeah.
Not that they have to stay together forever. Like, what if people broke up and didn't get back together? What if that? Whoa. I mean, like, what if that happened? I don't know. What if? Happened? I mean, then it wouldn't be this is probably why I don't read a lot of contemporary romance anymore, because it just like they're fun and you get to know new characters. And I, again, support the joy it gives people, but you just start, it's like, it's like Hallmark movies.
I think it's comforting. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like it's a comforting read to have some of those tropes that are comforting where, you know, you just want to get on the same ride again and again. You want to order the same type of food or whatever. And not to say that all contemporaries like that are not, but there are a lot of repetitive tropes that are comforting in that genre for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But all right, Michelle, hit her with the last question.
Well, I think it's time for our game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do the game.
So we're going to play Fuck, Marry, Kill. I'm going to pick characters out of Crowns of Nyaxia series. So, Fuck, Marry, Kill. We're going to do Atreus, Asar, and what's the third one? Vale.
How dare you? Oh, why would you pick 3 good ones? Oh, shame upon you. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm ready. We're gonna marry Vale.
Ooh, good choice.
We're going to kill Atreus. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, Atreus. He cannot, it's not, I don't know. That hurts. But I cannot turn down the opportunity to bed Asar. Like, you really, I mean, who were you going to have me kill? Like, I don't know.
Man had her on literally on an altar. So I see
an altar.
Vale and I are going to live in his creepy castle house and read books all day. We're going to have a great time.
Yes.
Right?
He's going to walk you through all his history of vampiredom.
Right.
Everywhere.
Right. We're going to
show you all the things.
Drink tea and grow roses, and it's going to be lovely. I'm sorry, Atreus. I don't know. I also, as much as I love Atreus's story with Selena, the horns don't do it for me.
Oh.
So,
okay.
Like, when I saw his character art, I was like, ooh. Like, and he has, with the long blonde, like, silver hair with it, it gave evil villain, right? But we know he's not. So, I'm sorry, Atreus. You're out. You're out.
Fair. Nyaxia did him dirty with that one.
He did not
remove his horns.
Add this to the list of Nyaxia is the actual worst. Like, she is the problem.
She is.
Like, she didn't even remove them after that. I was like, damn. No. Didn't even take the horns away. No. She just left them. I'm like, rude.
Very much.
All right,
so.
this is legitimately the last question.
Okay.
All right, so what are you currently reading?
I am currently reading Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, the gateway drug of the Cosmere. I am really enjoying it. I am going to follow it up with, so Mistborn is a trilogy, so I will read The Well of Ascension and Hero of Ages afterwards. I don't know if that will spiral into the whole can of worms. I also, what am I hoping to read after that? I'm hoping to read Plated Prisoner this winter /
What do you mean by can of worms?
The Cosmere can of worms, right? Like, I tend to hyper fixate on like a book series, right? So I don't know if I'm going to be able to like read the trilogy of Mistborn and then not keep going and like go to something else.
How many's in that series? Yeah, how many's in
in like the greater Cosmere?
Like the whole like the whole thing
beats me. I mean, it's somebody sent me a DM the other day with like, it looked like the Zodiac Academy list. Like, it was just because there's all these short stories and spin-offs, and like Mistborn itself has an original trilogy, and then it has a Mistborn like era 2 that is like 4 books after the first 3, and then there's the Stormlight archives and this book of short stories. Like I said, it's a whole thing. It's like all this interconnected stuff.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So
all right.
I could be there for the rest of my life. So if I chose, I might move on. I don't remember what else is on my stinking TBR because it's just a deep, dark cave. of where books go. Oh, I do have an arc I want to read soon of an indie author, Gretchen Powell Fox, came out with a book called Smoke and Scar, and now the second book is coming out in November, Splintered Kingdom. So I have that. So that's like an example of a book like that I'll probably read like concurrently with like one of these next Mistborn books. So
how do you balance your arc reading? Like how many arcs do you like try to take on a year, or like how does that work?
So I don't request arcs at all. Like I am not on NetGalley. Like again, bless people who do that for authors. The arcs that I read come from like an author that I know specifically, like via social media or something, who has reached out to me. And sometimes I do have to say no because I just can't keep up with my day job, and like I don't want to not do someone's book justice like in the time frame they're hoping for. So I think I've only read like 4 or 5 arcs in the almost 2 years that I've been doing this, just because I don't seek those opportunities. I just can't keep up with it.
That's fair. Yeah. It's challenging for us too. And like we would love to cover more of that. It's just, it's so hard to find the time. We just have so many other things, and it's very time consuming to, and I want to respect their deadlines because they have a lot of like deadlines that they need to hit before the book releases. So yeah, I totally relate to that. It's tough to read them all, and there are people who read like over 100 books, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy.
If only I had the time. My TBR might actually shrink.
Yeah.
Well, Jess, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I had so much fun with having you here. I love learning all about all your reading habits and all the things, and more than we bargained for in a great way. So thank you so much for being here. It was super fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Thank you so much, Jess, for joining us. We had so much fun talking books and your Instagram and TikTok platform, as well as just all things Crowns and Nyaxia. We had such a fun time with you tonight.
We did. Thank you so much for joining us.
So now it's time for our mystery Q&A. These questions haven't been shared with either of us prior to asking.
All right, so I'm going to hit you with like 3 rapid fire, like yes or no questions.
Okay.
First is raisins in baking. Yes or no?
Yes. Oatmeal raisin
Coconut.
cookies are my husband's favorite. So coconut. Like in baking?
In general.
Yes. I love coconut.
Pineapple on pizza.
I have to be in a mood for it. It's not a no. So I guess it'll be yes. It's not a no. So, okay. Now you.
Okay. Raisins? No. Not a fan. I don't like them in
Not
salad.
even oatmeal?
I don't like them.
No, I don't like them.
I don't like them in oatmeal. I don't like them in like loaves of any kind. I hate it when I go to bite into a chocolate chip cookie and it's a raisin cookie. The worst. I'm no to raisins. I don't know why.
No one asked for fruit.
And I also love wine, so not sure. So that's a no. Next question, coconut. It's a maybe. If I had to choose, it'd probably be a no. Not huge on coconut. Pineapple on pizza is a yes all day. All day, yes.
Yes, all day. Okay.
Yeah.
I honestly, it's a good pairing, like pineapple and like ham.
I think it's totally a taste buds thing. The whole thing is like bacon, texture and taste, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. If you like that.
I'm just curious because so many people are so, but it's weird because I like coconut on certain things. Like I'll have a pina colada. I like that. I like a Miami Ice drink. I like coconut baked into certain things if it's known that it's going to have that. But I don't like it when I get a coconut coffee creamer that's supposed to be vanilla or it's supposed to be like some other thing, but it's coconut milk based and the coconut just overpowers it to where I can't taste anything else. That just might be like a plant-based milk problem that has really nothing to do with coconut. It's not coconut's fault that it's
what about texture?
Like dried coconut?
Yeah.
I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. I feel like you see it a lot at Easter because they use it to like make baking uses it for like baskets and the fluffy. I don't mind it. It's fine. I wouldn't put it on anything. Like if I have like a bunch of choices in front of me at like the frozen yogurt place and for like shredded coconut's a choice, like I'm probably not picking it. I don't know.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay, fair. All right, so my question is going to be kind of along the lines of texture. So everyone has like this a texture that they absolutely can't stand or something that makes them like ick. So what is like your like one like ick texture?
I don't know why, but like the first thing that came to mind is like, when you like go to clean something that has texture against another texture and you get like the chills because you didn't clean it right. My son spilled something on a carpet recently, and like he took a paper towel and just like went to town on it really quickly. He was fine. He didn't even react. But like for me, I was like, like, no, you need to blot it, not like rub it. Like
Yeah, he's getting
I
the
don't know if that
stain in
answers your
further.
question. Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that answers your question, but like I guess that would be it. Or anything that's like overly thick and syrupy. I don't love that texture either. Like globby, I guess, like for food. Like, I don't like really thick, like custardy type textures.
Okay.
It's not really for me. I don't know
Like
why.
pudding type thing? Yeah, you don't like pudding?
Yeah, I mean, I could eat that if I have to, but it's not gonna be my first choice. And I also, from a texture perspective, I'm not a big mojito fan because I don't like chunks of stuff.
Oh, I love mojitos.
In my drink. Yeah. I don't like that there's mint leaves floating up in there. I don't like fruit on the bottom yogurt. No. I don't like anything with like chunks of stuff in it.
Okay.
So
that's
fair. What about you?
So my like big texture thing is more of like a sensory touch. If there's like a surface that has like multiple holes in it, I can't look at it.
There's a fear for this. Is this that fear thing?
Yep. I think so, because it looks like decayed to me. It's weird.
Interesting.
I can't, yeah, I don't like that. Like honeycombs, I don't like those. Yeah, it's weird.
Wild.
Like I immediately want to vomit when I look at that.
Interesting.
And I don't know if there's something in my childhood that connects to that and like why.
I don't know.
Or just some like weird like brain thing. But like, yeah, those I can't like wasp nests. I'm like, honey, handle that. I can't do it.
Oh.
You better go do it. So yeah.
That's funny. So no, you're not into spiders. We don't like spiders. We do not like wasp nests. We don't like bees.
I like
nests
I
either,
appreciate
or honeycombs.
Bees.
Yes,
I
for what they
appreciate
do.
bees.
Yeah.
And I love bees and respect them, especially the big fat bumblebees that literally just bop around and bump into shit. But yeah, no, I can't like honeycomb, like, because like that's a big popular thing on like charcuterie trays is to have the honeycomb there.
Yeah.
If the actual honeycomb's
I feel like you've been to my house and I've had it on one of my charcuterie boards. Yeah.
I didn't touch it.
Now I know. The more you know. Okay.
Yeah.
I won't include it in the future.
I mean, I'm not,
I love honey, but they have like other ways that you can like do that. But people do buy the honey too because it like more aesthetic. Like you're trying to like be fancier.
Not for me.
You Michelle, I swear to God, I learn something new about you every time.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point, right? Of these questions.
We do. We really do. Because it's always some awful off the wall shit that I would never ask you in any other situation.
In normal conversation. No. By the way, what really makes you want to vomit? All right. Before we wrap up, let's talk about what's coming up next in Book Club After Dark.
Next week, we're going to dive into, I kind of alluded to this already before we jumped into our interview, but we're going to be diving into parts 5 and 6 of The Fallen and the Kiss of Dust. So we're going to wrap that up. It's also by Carissa Broadbent, as we know. So we're looking forward to continuing to dissect this novel with you.
And don't forget, we want to hear from you. If you have thoughts on The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk or suggestions for future reads, drop a comment below or message us on one of our social media platforms at Book Club After Dark Pod. Show us your fan art, theories, or anything bookish you'd like to share.
Yep, and you can also visit our website, bookclubafterdark.co. Stay up to date on our cozy content and check out our merch. And Michelle, we forgot one more thing. Our first birthday is coming up October 10th. So make sure you like really stay tuned to the socials because we may or may not have some really big things going on, specifically on our Instagram. So make sure that you are tuning in. If you've stayed along with us for this whole episode, you are now rewarded to know that there is something exciting going on the week of our first birthday. Stay tuned. You might just win something.
That's all for tonight. Sleep tight, night owls. Until next time, happy reading.